It's been a bit of a minute. No one's here as a hostage. Everyone by their own choice.
I wish we could have been here last week too, to be fair.
Me too. But this is it. This is the end. Kingslayers, 99 episodes. I'm so mad we didn't get the 100.
This close.
It's so rough.
We were so close to level 20 as well. Nate's camera flickers. It's just a whole thing. I've got anyone who caught yesterday's stream where we kind of talked about what's happening. Unfortunately, I got a job that I had to get, and Kingslayers can no longer happen on a Monday. I have this Monday off, but won't have one for a while. So we're gonna epilogue the end of it. I've written a very heartfelt ending for the story, and assumed the players win. We're then going to go into epilogue questions after we all go through what happens to every character. But before we start anything, guys, this has been the best table I've ever had. I love you all immensely. You are the best friends I could ask for. And even though it's not the ending we wanted, it's some form of closure. You mean the world to me, and I will value this game forever. That's the nice thing. You're not getting anything else.
You're not meant to make us cry and start this. Fuck you.
But Nate, I saw you
Did I get a chin?
Nate, I did see you put your finger on your nose, which I assume means you want to recap what happened last time in Kingslayers.
That has not been the rules for the last
all right, nose
20
goes.
sessions.
AJ, what happened last time in Kingslayers?
I was waiting for Des to gaslight us, and it just never came. What happened?
Well, last session my notes are blank, so fuck. What did happen? It was a bunch of roleplay actually. It was the second part of a bunch of roleplay. Where we all spoke to different individuals. I can't remember if it was this week or last week. It was definitely session 98 that Merc ended up ending things with Kiana. Quite explosively, shall we say. It was not handled well at all, but what else do we expect from Merc, you know? Other things that happened. I remember Zamani had a really good chat with Kiana. Bit of a gossip sesh. Drinking wine and bitching about Merc and talking God stuff.
No, Nate.
Nate, into the void.
Nate just got voided, so you know.
Yeah. Very
there goes
normal
the
occurrence,
warranty.
yeah.
Yep. Dad will be back soon. He's
Dad
going to
wants
get
to go
milk.
get milk. Don't worry, he's coming
I'm
back.
back.
Dad's back already.
Wait, there was milk this time? That's impressive. What else happened? From memory,
Phone
I'm
a friend.
really good at this.
If you want to phone a friend, I'll let Rap
Nate-
take over.
Yeah, I mean, go for it. Phone a friend. Ring.
So you're right, actually. Session 97 saw Merkestiel visit Kiana. Session 98 was Zamani first seeing Kiana, having their little chat about Merc and God stuff. But then Zamani did her major thing of seeing a Greggy. She went all up into the far north of the world
Vinny's
to
gone.
visit.
Nate's gone again.
What is going on? What the
Guys,
fuck is
It's
happening?
the last 21 days of tech
Stop.
issues.
Stop, guys. All right, stop.
Vinny now has an audio bar with a timer on it for me.
That's
Everyone
Just rewind
technically
video. We'll get him back.
has one.
What does that mean? Yeah, I got to meet a Yachten, guys. That was cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Zamani got to meet Igregi and they had a good chat and Zamani filled Igregi in on a few things and Igregi told her about a few bits and pieces, including the Jade Great Worm and the whole balance it keeps between Rabosa and Quenthos, and also managed to extend Zamani's lifespan.
Thankfully.
So that, thankfully. So she was no longer bound to a very short humanoid life.
They totally didn't scare the
and-
shit out of everyone either.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Mm.
Yeah, because Greggy decided to walk the entire world back to Ariel Keep, scaring the shit out of everyone in the entire world that was passed. Rumors went across the world of the Jotuns attacking once again. But he actually turned out to be a really chill guy, and him and Calacinda also spoke, and it was just really nice. McCastiel had a bit of time speaking to Troon, Captain Troon, and they had a bit of a chat. Toast spoke about Nemavana, and Troon did a little bit of trolling of McCastiel.
That was so awkward.
That's right. Donnie had his moment of utter bullshit and irresponsible behavior and turning Kalanzamani on each other as Donnie took Tarek to a little fun getaway with Irillan and Gorthale to Ojikir, where they had a nice time, but they, Donnie went about it in a bit of a sneaky, underhand way. And Zamani was not, not the most happy, although Tarek did seem to value the time and had a good moment, although the rest of the kids also demanded, as a result, to be taken on field trips, just like Tarek did, giving, once again, Zamani and Calacindia more work to do. That's right. Gorthale as well also had a bit of a heart-to-heart with Donnie, and Gorthale, thanks to Donnie's intervention, slowly crept back to his more angelic celestial form. And yeah, that was a nice moment. Zeph had concluded his trek across the continent with his friends and spent a bit of time around the Rookery with Malakot, and basically went through the whole plans for the future with Novalio, offering him a place up north. And then they also discussed about Zeph's child, and went through that whole sticky situation. Donnie had a nice little chat with Xerxes, the two of them went through, and gave Donnie the ship the Codfather. As Donnie went and hired a crew for his ship and passed along the plans for what Donnie wants to achieve in the world with the ship, spreading good and nice acts throughout the world. What else happened? Calacindia had his little moment with Novalio, but that was more just getting an understanding of what his plans were, and what was going on with all the paintings. And yeah, it basically ended with Greggy leaving Ariel Keep.
That was sick.
Perfect. So, let's get into what happened after that. Let's get this started.
Do I get music today?
There we go. So, as our grand tale reaches its conclusions, our brave kingfishers confront the climax. Emboldened by the resonant words of Xerxes, on the day is coming, mortals rose against divinity. On that fateful day, known to history now as the Usurping, our heroes faced divinity head-on. They challenged the once savior turned tyrant Lizefrican. The high angels rose against the mortals who dared to invade the celestial home. But our beloved champions stood resolute. Together, they fought the forces of magic and storms, to elevate their ally, Samael, from saint to god, overthrowing the court of Lizefrican to pave the way for Samael's final decisive strike. The campaign was marked by numerous battles. Allies from distant lands joining forces with our heroes. Familiar faces, some new. All guided by the tactical genius of Xerxes, they maneuvered across Lizefrican's domain as one, striking down the upper 8 angels like pieces on a board. And when the dust settled, Samael wielded a blade unlike any other, an instrument of dark fate for the gods, leaving the fallen deity's power to be claimed by Samael. With that, the Zephyrican was gone. The remaining angels bowed before the new Lord of Magic. A shift in celestial authority. In the aftermath, our heroes searched for a shard of divinity. Piece of the guiding light, the last one to be collected. Only to discover that, just before the conflict, it was consumed by Lizefrican. A troubling revelation, but albeit weakened with enough shards collected, the 6 that were gotten, it is enough to promise the return. With that, our heroes' time in Robosa came to an end. They returned to the mortal lands, ushering in an era of unprecedented peace across Quintus. Challenges persisted, rebellions, plagues, but no threat quite like what was seen, something that would endanger the entire realm, would come about for many, many years. Mortals gazed in awe on new divinity shortly after, about a year later, when Cal and Zamani celebrated their union, just as his father, Amrathan, then surrendered his mortal form at the end of the wedding to the guiding light, becoming one with the old god. Shortly thereafter, the guiding light sought out his nephews to take them on a journey to discover the truth of their origins, where old gods come from, and what their parents were. And with that, the old gods retreat from the mortal realm a bit. Though glimpses of their presence could still be seen from time to time, their direct influence faded, leaving the realm in the capable hands of mortals and the new divine powers of the Ascended that helped shape it. In the years to come, the land of Quintus witnessed numerous changes, various significant events. Shortly after Lizefrican fell, in the next few years, a mysterious plague swept the land. Origin unknown, it ravaged the southern kingdoms of Sethasa and Burton. It had a strong resistance to magic, crippling some of the brightest minds of that generation. The sickness claimed the lives of some key figures that we know and love, like the husband of wise King Everard, Theodore Lahir, and Princess Kazori's husband on Lothric. In the wake of the plague, Everard and Kazori found love anew. Everard remarried the Princess Elstine of Lothric, while Kazori wed her childhood sweetheart Viola. In the years to come, Everard would father 2 children, ensuring his lineage: a girl named Zamani and a boy named Anathor. Meanwhile, in the world below, a usual ally emerged: Arellan, as Calasindir's powers as a warlock began to fade as the guiding light came more sure into their power. Teaching and mastering the arcane arts, Calasindir's tutelage concluded in the years to come, and Arellan vanished from the world as we know it, taking with him his original betrothed, Zilvra. But despite their disappearance, Calasindir does receive an annual postcard from somewhere around Quintus on his birthday. Not signed. It's said that House Chiatheri, relentless in their pursuit of arcane mastery, made several attempts to recreate a living codex. Yet their efforts were, oddly, enigmatically so, thwarted by a force of magic beyond comprehension. The living codex, once a revered figure of the world below, thus slipped into the realm of legend across Quintus. Whispers of existence persisted, growing into tales of but mystical being. An expert mage who appeared to aid the downtrodden in their most desperate hours. This figure wielded power not seen in generations to come or has been, leaving behind faint traces. A shimmer in the air, a soft glow of forgotten runes. About 90 years past that, a young starless elf by the name of Calasindir approaches Calasindir Thal Kalzir, claiming to be the son of Arellan and Zilvra, saying tutelage is owed under the prince. Other figures that we know throughout history in this, such as Aster, vanish from the land without trace, for to be seen never again. Other figures, ones we perhaps like a bit more. Our beloved Kelsier, prompted by Eris and perhaps Zeph a little bit, and impressed predominantly by the work that the Humming Cloaks did by taking over the College of the Storms, finally accepts the responsibility of returning to the Humming Cloaks, and with this, Kelsier began to assume the title of Archivist of the Humming Cloaks. In these years, we see more change to divinity than what just the Kingslayers did. A move to Favendel of Anatari spurred a threshold of pain that Serok needed to rise from minor to major god. And the goddess Minoa spreads further in popularity, rising to major godhood as well. Solelio falls to minor godhood. And the city of Casellia changes its rulership of 4 gods: Solelio, Nemevana, Zygolia. But they do not accept Samael, as he was a usurper of divinity, so instead they instate Minoa as the 4th ruling temple. as we see Anatari's move to Favendel, Serok transitions and becomes quite strong. But overall, the city of Castelia, a culture of faith, it is there and standing. In the end of the Mantarathir War and Castelia's civil war comes about, it has gone far from unnoticed, especially with Starless interference. However, indeed, the neighbouring nations of Arvagrad, Favendel and Rindleton were watching with keen interest. As a victory from the mages of Mantarathir seemed almost assured, the three nations agreed to what is now known as the Threefold Pact. In the early hours of that morning, the respective borders between Castelia and the three nations were crossed by forces from Arvagrad, Favendel and Rindleton, and within a matter of days buffer zones were established along the borderlines. As diplomats were sent to Castelia to propose the Threefold Pact. It was a simple effect. The militaries of Arvagrad, Favendel and Rindleton would ensure the rebels backed down from seizing Castelia, but in return, Castelia would cede most of its territories north to the mountains to each of them. A debate came about with Castelia, but Mantarathir was too strong. So, now Castelia became purely a city-state, once again, and resumed a symbolic role in the world. The first city of humanity couldn't be lost. It's too important to history. A religious centre for ascended gods now. No longer a powerhouse whatsoever. Its military completely disbanded, while the orders only allowed to be kept by temple guards. Mantarathir was successful in the rebellion. To the north, in the distant lands of Yosgrin, a new chapter unfolded for the forces of Bellerin, joined with the Merchants' Alliance of Corvathil and Jotunheim. A new kingdom known as Archthylia. Their unified front brought about an end to the long-standing raiding culture, paving a way for a new era of stability in the frozen north. A transformation led to the establishment of the kingdom of Archthylia, the first permanent home for Corvathil that they had known since the 300-year war, a turning point in their history. It emerged as a kingdom of aristocrats, merchants, characterized by innovative economic strategies and a focus on sustainable prosperity. Their alliance turned its attention to the local mountains, which, unbeknownst to the raiders, held unexpected bounty of jewels and riches. The treasures had remained hidden from them, an invaluable source for what will be soon one of the wealthiest kingdoms. Under the guidance of Bellerin's forces and the Merchants' Alliance, the kingdom blossomed, a land of opportunity and abundance. A homeland for people that were once downtrodden. And with that, our story comes to a close. But people still ask, what quite happened to the Kingslayers? To the Kingfishers? To the Godmakers? So, Merkestiel, what happens to you?
So, Merc wasn't doing great after the events of Kingslayers. She'd had a very shaky last couple of months. So she decided to go off and, I suppose, sabbatical is kind of the wrong word, but a bit of soul searching. She would wander around Quenthos, avoiding Castelia and Burton, as it was just too much pain there. She kept the sword, the Talon blade, with her, but didn't wield it for many, many years. She didn't cast a spell or swing any weapon in violence during that soul searching. But eventually, taking a leaf from Teethan's book, she had the idea to attempt to establish a priory. And since Nemavana is goddess or deity of life, and birds and nests are so prevalent in the imagery of Nemavana, Merc decided to go to the Woad and ask it permission ask the Council of the Woad permission for her to set up a priory to help train new members of the Knights of the Talon.
And with that, Merkestiel goes to Yundov and is granted permission. A small little outcropping just north of Lake Hetzspire. Place to build a small priory, nothing too extravagant. Drips and drabs. Knights of the Talon come bit by bit. And you find whatever peace you come to. Next. Donovan. What happens to you?
Besides being muted.
Had to happen once.
It's only fitting that it
We
just
got
starts
we got one,
Yeah.
guys. It's all right.
Once more for the road.
Yeah, pour one out for the fallen homies. Only a couple of things happened to Donnie. Upon returning from a victory over Lezevkin, Donnie will return with the Kingfishers to Ariel Keep, and almost immediately find Sahiri and formally resign from the Rahashir. He now is firm in his belief that they never represented a force for good in the world. Following that, Donnie will attempt to convince the Eye of Ruin to join him on his peaceful redemption quest for Serok. The mandate is no violence, no killing, no hostility, just rebuilding the soul of the city. In that reconstruction of the city's identity and society and culture, he will set up a temple to the Saint of Second Chances, intending for the city to be a beacon for any lost souls to come and find solace and rebirth in the city that was reborn itself. And I'm hoping that the Eye of Ruin learns the lesson from that,
Right.
trying to give him empathy
So,
rather than the sympathy his brother's given him.
the Eye of Ruin will grant you help in terms of his most loyal advisors, but with the soon-to-be returned guiding light, will deny any personal involvement on his own side. But you do get
Yep.
aid from Lake Hetzspire.
Wonderful. As long as that it feels like he's come along on that journey as well, because it was less about needing his resources and more about wanting him to see that something that is truly broken can be rebuilt.
There will be a certain aspect of that, but he doesn't want too much involvement. His reclusive nature weighs out more in the end. He will learn from those that he holds dearest that he does want to help in the end, but
Good. Once that work is well underway and Donnie is not required to lead it, a few letters will arrive to the Kingfishers, transported magically, calling in one of a million favors owed to him by the God of Secrets, and he will call the Kingfishers to join him in hunting down Gromathir and enacting justice for himself, the Humming Cloaks, and of course Joranvir.
who answers the call? Zeph, Zamani, Calisendir.
How long into this time skip is the message sent out?
About 5 years after the defeat of Lezevkin.
Yeah, Merc would help.
So
She'd
Azar,
consider it for like a week, but then she'd just eventually go, yep.
So does this happen before or after Cal and Zamani's wedding?
after.
After.
The Kalanzamani wedding is about a year after. So, with that, you all begin to make your way into the world below again to try and find the last known location of Gromathir, the
Go
Emperor
to
of
combat,
Ghouls.
guys.
Donovan, roll me a D100, please.
As you wish.
Not a dice roll during the epilogue.
There will be a few.
Yeah, man. 85.
85. No one gets injured, thankfully. The Emperor of Ghouls had 5 years to build up his forces again, protecting what he recalls as his. With a mere but 10% chance of finding Gromathir, it's not quite possible. You've all gone into the world below once to face the Emperor of Ghouls. It didn't go that well last time, and as the Starless are very familiar with, there's very little winning with the Emperor of Ghouls. There's just surviving. Wherever Gromathir is, whether the Emperor of Ghouls still has him, it's not quite clear. Unfortunately, you don't catch him this day. Perhaps another time.
Comfortable with unfinished business. Donnie will say that it's not meant to be. And there's a lot of other good that he can do in the world. A little bit of a time skip. He will then spend some time journeying on board the Codfather until he's got enough money to buy a small villa in Thiel, where he will finally end up resting. And he'll aim to take a leadership role within the Voyagers, seeing them as truly the force for good in the world that he's been pursuing. The villa will be named Storm's Rest, and it will serve as a meeting place, a way station, and a haven for all adventurers looking to better the world. Now, this is one for Des, but I dare say that Donnie may end up on the Synod.
Yeah, I would say you would be given
being-
a position.
Being the Aasimar of the Firewalker, he would eventually end up on the Synod in his later years. While he is in Thiel, though, and before he settles down, Donnie will learn everything he can about Lysandros and the Count's court. And once he knows enough to seize control and force the organization into legitimacy, once he feels like he's equipped to achieve that end, he will wait for a meeting of Lysandros and all of his effective lieutenants and break into that meeting and disintegrate Lysandros in front of all of them.
You try your best, but as you grow further presence and grow amongst the Synod, the Count's court fades from Thiel. Lysandros isn't seen there again. His manor's there, rife for the watch, but perhaps it was knowing you originally, or when you all first came, and perhaps it was him following your journey. But the base of operations of the Count's court, you can discover, is no longer in Thiel, and as such slips through the grasp.
That was the goal. The goal was not to kill Lysandros. The goal was to have the Count's court not in Thiel, so Donnie can be at peace in what has become his homeland. In that time, Donnie will have some adventures and some journeys. He would go searching for Arillin for some shenanigans, but Arillin is gone. So he will spend that time with Cal and Zamani's children if they're around, and I suppose Cal and Zamani as well if they're there. He will
Reluctantly.
try and fight. Yeah, if I have to. He will go and find Korzeth and ask to see the archives of the Joachim out of pure morbid curiosity. And the bribery will be in full effect for Korzeth Cedra. And bribery is baked goods exclusively. He will undertake the occasional mission for Xerxes, but this will be less and less as he becomes busier in his own endeavors to better the world, feeling that work has kind of come into its natural conclusion. their friendship remains, but the work slowly peters out into less occupational efforts and more just friendly meetings. He will obviously attend Kalan Zamani's wedding. The bachelor party will be incredible. But eventually he will finally return to Rindleton, facing whatever judgment the city has left for him. If at the end of that judgment he's a free man, if we want to do the judgment, you're more than happy to do so. Otherwise, we can crack on.
So as you get to
just
Rindleton,
interrupt when you interrupt. Yeah.
You go, and there's tension filled. And for a while, you're held for trial for the crimes you committed. You think perhaps it's intervention by a purple-skinned advisor that you do get spared a death sentence, but you will be submitted to a 20-year prison sentence of hard labor if you do go there. And as such, I will tell you where that is. I do have that. So just near Gallows Cross, you'll be sent to 20 years of labor in the Zuvrik mines.
Cool, I will teleport out of there. And level 20 adventure, guys.
He's like,
This
no.
is cool.
I will face my judgment. Actually, on second thought, nah.
Second thought, 20 years of hard labor. Fuck that.
Fuck that. I will teleport
You
out.
find a couple. I'll say there's high mages keeping watch of you, but I'd say after about 3 years, you find a window of escape, planning it.
Yep, and pop, off I go. Return to the Codfather. But I will eventually sneak my way to the bakery, and I'll invite my parents to retire with me in Thiel. Or, and if they won't abandon the bakery, I'll buy the bakery from them so they can live their final moments out in the peace of Thiel.
They will, as you first walk in, you'd expect your tears from your mother, but it's your father that breaks down when you approach. He holds you for a long time. They move with you to Thiel. And even though you buy them their own place, you kind of after about 6 months realize they've just moved in with you. And every time you try and bake something, it's wrong. Your father's there telling you it could be done a different way. He was never a man for words, but he shows his love in his own ways.
Yeah, I live with my parents now, guys.
No, your parents live with you. There's a difference.
There is not, sir. And they will eventually live out their twilight years and pass on, but pass on in the sun and the sea and the sand of Thiel, rather than whittling themselves down to the bone in a bakery on some merchant street in some dusty backwater. And I never return to Rindleton again because I don't want to finish that sentence. The last grand quest that Donnie will complete before his story is over will be to take Gorthale back to his wife in what is the world of the
Rebosa.
gods? It's not
Rebosa.
Rebosa. I keep thinking it's Irillion. That's not correct. My
It's
lore
not.
is shit. I need a RAF.
Words are
So
hard.
I will take Gorthale to Rebosa. I would assume by now that we have a pretty trusting relationship, and I've broken through those final 20%.
I'll allow it.
Hoping to finally put his soul at peace. I would make the effort of asking Samael to endorse that first, but entreating to him that Gorthale has earned his freedom and chance at a peaceful life.
He helps you on the mission. He finds Gorthale's home with you. And as you find this small little shack, there's angelic creatures roaming around. You lay Gorthale to rest, and the sword becomes a bit more of a brilliant metal. He says no words of goodbye. He says no words of thank. But you see whatever being inhabited the blade finds peace and moves out of it.
Immediately after that, I ask for my flame tongue longsword back from Samael.
You get it back.
Give me my shit back. You can have your bunky sword now. So in that write-up that I sent you, there's one final scene. Is now the time for that or not?
Yeah, you can do that.
In the very final chapter or pages of his life, Donnie is an old man, weathered by time. Finds himself looking over at his mantelpiece at a small key hanging from a hook over the fireplace. For fuck's sake!
We can still hear you. Oh, Nate. We have you in voice, I think.
Law accurate. Xerxes just do that at the end of Donnie's life to fuck with him one last time.
Just turns him
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Cast sleep on him.
I mean, honestly,
Well, hello.
like,
Hello, hello.
what?
Welcome
Australian internet guys.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
I said what I
No.
said.
Got sent to the beyond.
That is right.
Yeah, right. All right, cool. Donnie will be an old man, sitting at his fireplace, looking at a small key on an old hook at his fireplace. Feeling it's about time, he will take the key and put it into the nearest door and walk through. He will visit Xerxes if the key works,
It does.
which I'm assuming it does. He will spend weeks playing with the children, reminiscing with Xerxes about all of their old battle stories and all the old times and fun they've had. And cooking for Xerxes' wife as a parting gift for her patience, and an enormous generosity, and for welcoming Donovan himself into their family. The time passes with a final good memory for him. He opens the door to return back to Storm's Rest, and as the door is open, he throws the key onto the kitchen table and leaves. Days later, Donovan is found dead in his favorite chair next to his fireplace, dying a peaceful death, Theo, alone, but finally content with his place in the world.
Thank you, Donovan. So,
The waterworks have started.
next up.
Oh,
I'm just gonna quickly reboot. Sorry, guys, my computer's being a
Okay,
piece of
okay.
shit.
Hey, you're fine.
It's okay.
They.
Zeph,
I'm next?
you're next.
Oh no. Okay. Alrighty. Well, Zeph hasn't been with the Kingslayers for very long, but the profound impact that Zephyros feels following the Battle of the Zephyrican is significant enough to the point where, he spends a lot of time with everything that he's made, all the connections that he's made, and all the connections that he's established. Particularly with the Rookery of Many Feathers at Ariel Keep, where he finds a new home temporarily following the battle. They're not sure exactly what they are yet. Elara, the seamstress from Arvagrad, the one who adopted a Corvithal child in order to become their son, more or less. Both of them get brought back over to the Rookery of Many Feathers, where Elara very quickly finds a home within the Rookery itself. Kaya Savenya, not really sure how they exactly like get associated with the Rookery of Many Feathers. Maybe they find connections with the other Corvithel, and or otherwise like maybe they're a little bit more isolated and tend to spend their time more with Alara and Zeph whenever they get a chance. I would think that within the Rookery of Many Feathers, Alara is probably given a new start, a new connection, kind of away from their past in Arvagrad itself. How do you think that goes, Des?
Roll me a D100.
Okay, alright, I shouldn't have asked. I should have just said, oh no, she lives happily ever after, and... You know, like, never question it. 89.
She finds a new home, and your child between the two of you gets brought in, just like you were, to the Rookery of Many Feathers, and finds a great home and learns of their culture. It's a life you'd wished for.
I think upon seeing that, I think that's around the time where Zeph leaves the Rookery of Many Feathers. Upon seeing that Kaya Savenya is given the life that Zephyros was not allowed to have. Kind of a unwritten chapter of their life. Of course, Zeph attends Kalan Zamani's wedding before that time. He even buys a new cloak, because apparently that's what you do for fancy and events that you care about. And not just flip the one that you have inside out and be, you know, still be a little dusty and stuff. Like, his feathers are actually groomed out, and there are probably a surprising amount of Corvithel who attend, because he probably manages to get everybody within the Rookery to be there as well.
It's very sweet.
A couple of years after, Zephyros does join and answers to Donovan's call to go up against Gramathir. And fighting by everyone's side is everyone's very lovely and beloved Tuvu, the Earth Elemental. Because Tuvu decided that, you know what, we're going up against Gramathir. You're going to need my help, because I've fought against Gramathir before. A little bit more proactive than typically expected from Tuvu. But no, Zeph leaves Ariel Keep and leaves the Rookery of Many Feathers in order to rejoin the Humming Cloak organization. In order to become a Wayfinder again, with Eris, Eshil, and Selena, to rebuild the organization from whence it was completely destroyed, or just kind of like scattered and separated. And spends a lot of time going around, and I believe you mentioned that there were a lot of schools that were being set up by the Humming Cloaks.
They take over a lot of the College of Storms to spread knowledge.
So Zephyros spends a lot of his time going from school to school, making sure that they're reestablished, and maybe even cherry-picking a couple individuals and students to become Humming Cloaks. Some talented sages, some talented wayfinders, some scribes, some people to help Selena in the library. The ones who look a little bit more put together and don't look like they're gonna leave everything sticky, like Zephyros would. While he's spending time, he does go back and still spends time with Alara and Kaya Savenya, his son, whenever he can. And eventually, he works with Selena and Eris to try to develop a magic item in order to, make the travel and the distance and time between travels a little less painful. If that's okay, Des.
I believe I know what it is. And yeah, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. At the very beginning, when Zeph joined the Kingslayers, he did ask everybody for their favorite color. And
Yeah.
throughout the campaign, I was thinking about what do I do with this? What kind of gifts do we make? And what kind of things do we tie together? One day, each of the Kingfishers receives, wherever they are in the world, a tiny box, and within it, you find a small hummingbird feather. For Donovan, it is gold. For Calicindia, it is purple. For Makestriel, it's orange. And for Zamani, it is dark red. This is a Whisper Wing charm that allows people to cast Sending once a day in order to just keep in touch.
Aw, wait,
And-
that's so cute.
And it's one of the functions of the humming cloaks where they're able to cast Sending to one another, but within a small feather. And you're able to communicate with multiple people at once if you really need to.
That is
Caius-
the cutest shit.
And during that time, while Zephyros is at working with the humming cloaks, his son, Kaya Savenya, who is named the Life Song's Hope, doesn't take underneath Zeph's tutelage as a beast heart very well. Because, they typically have other interests
Dad is
away
cringe.
from their
His dad
fathers.
is cr-
Yeah, because dad is cringe. So, in which sense, I originally wanted to send Kaya Savenya to Kelsier, but Kelsier eventually becomes the archivist of the Humming Cloaks organization.
He still leads the
So-
school. He does both.
Oh god.
He
does
Kelsier is
both.
canonically always overworked.
You can't just have
But
him
he
do
doesn't
both.
have to be.
No, it's in his character.
Okay.
So we figure out how to duplicate him so that he can do both at once.
Oh my god, Simulacrum would go a long way.
Yeah, but
The
then
only
both of them
person-
are overworked.
No.
Each one of them takes on double duties. Rapier muted.
100%.
Oh my gosh. But fine. Okay, I guess Zeph decides to send Kaya Savenya to a very overworked Kelsier, Zamnara, in order to study magic. Senya's success and role with Kelsier, along with their connection to Aira, another Corvithil child, is a story for another time, though. It's not one that Zeph is to have written. Zeph, throughout their time, meets a lot of animal companions, because as a beast heart, you meet a lot of friends who need a lot of help. But none of them were quite as special as Tuvu, the elemental, and Queenie, the warg. They serve for as long as possible, but it is within the beast heart's nature and pact to allow them to return home once they're ready. So Queenie returns back to the wild, and Tuvu returns back to wherever the heck Tuvu came from the first place. And eventually even Zeph retires from the Humming Cloaks. Hopefully he left it in a better place than he found it. And he returns back to the Rookery of Many Feathers and continues to teach the future generations of the Humming Cloaks teach the future generations of the Corvithil in Humming Cloak techniques in order to show them that there's more to life than just the way that they've been living and their clans and organizations. There's an entire world out there. Eventually, he ends up inviting the members of the Kingfishers decades down the line to see where the Rookery has eventually become. To show them that they've created a community of Corvithil. One that is allowed to have second chances. At the end of his life, Zeph takes Alara and Kaya to the edge of the woad, to the temple that Zeph, Selena, and Ashel traveled to just before arriving back at Ariel Keep, where they met the Dawn Watcher. And he brings Alara and Kaya Savenya in hopes that he can meet the Dawn Watcher again and introduce them and show the Dawn Watcher that he was right, that there was a future. Not one that he expected, but one that was very needed for him. And after that day passes, he sends Alara and Kaya Savenya back home. And he sits with the Dawn Watcher and they talk and chat and about all of the different things that Zeph has learned throughout his journey. And at the end of that day, no longer as a valiant beast heart, but rather a figure. Just another person. The wingless Corvathel named Zephyros steps into the lake. First at his ankles, then rising up to his waist, and finally up to his chest as the weight of years begin to lift from him. He feels lighter, almost as if he's flying once again. The waters eventually reach his chin, and before it envelops his head, he says one last thing to the world, and a farewell to the universe. In Corvathil, it is said that he said, Kaya no lavi, nevia nata, savi reluvi, sivayat anata. Which means, may your path be guided by the stars, and your burdens be light. And with those final words, the lake claims the last of him. But his legacy remains like the ripples on the surface of the water. End message.
Beautiful.
Why?
So, going through the first three of what we know will reach their mortal lifespan before any future campaigns, we now turn to the two more long-lived companions we had. I will say probably for me the two hardest ones is going to be able to say goodbye to. We'll start with Zamani.
So, Zamani will return home and genuinely devote most of herself to trying to be the best mom that she can. She feels like that she wasn't being the best mom when she was trying to do and go through their whole adventures, and she wants to make that right. And she wants to she really just wants to be a great mom, and if eventually a great wife. I guess a great partner would be just a better term. She'll take the kids out on small adventures based on their interest and trying to help facilitate any growth that they're wanting, and just trying to show them that they can be whatever that they want to be, that they're not limited by their past or where they came from or who they're related to or anything like that. She'll stay in Ariel with them mostly. They'll take summer vacation. I assume there's summer vacation in this world. I don't know if there is. I just kind of assumed and decided
Kaiser
there
works
was.
360 days a year. 3 years after meeting the Kingslayer, he has the same hair.
He has 5 days off. Yeah.
So they have summer
Yes, they do.
vacation.
They do.
And they have summer vacation in Sensaro Manor, where all of the kids get to go together, and she'll steal away Cal from whatever important thing that they're doing, and they'll spend a month or two just getting to be a family and go on little adventures together. She'll do her best to try to help the community that Sililio brought back to life and that then moved there, to really kind of like give them a hub of connection and worship and just everything that they would need, because being reincarnated is scary for an adventure, let alone a group of normal people. That's gotta be fucking hard. Like there's some group trauma in that. And she's gonna try to help them and actually take the time to learn about Celio and all of the other gods, since she never really got that kind of an education. Sorry, I was like reading my things and then we started and I'm like, I'm just sad and scared and upset. I need to read things again. So I
also
give
miss things in mine, so don't worry. My
I'm
big long
giving
one.
the worst thing. She'll also go to help with the school a lot. Basically kind of like as a day job, like she'll help organize all of the events for the kids and everything. And she'll make sure that Kelsier has an assistant as well as a vice principal, and that all of those staffing things are taken care of, because apparently he wasn't able to do that while he was also running everything to give himself any leeway. As well as also helping him set up the animal sanctuary that he's was wanting to do and kind of starting to peter in towards doing a little bit, because she knows how much he cares about animals and wanting to help. About once a month, she'll go visit her brother and actually try to foster a real relationship with him, as like them being siblings instead of them just kind of pretending at it as best they could for two people who didn't know how to be siblings with each other. She'll also spend time with the Echo Knights, learning about them and a bunch of old stories about her dad that she never got to experience, just to help round out an actual understanding of who he was as a person. She'll also visit Kiana every now and then, and they'll have bitchy girl talk and do Solilio things. I don't know what those are as a player, but you know, there's god shit going on. Like there has to be something
Rooting a
that she
city,
can help with.
So that is a big part of that. So
Exactly. Like there's got to be a bunch of shit that she can do to help with that. She'll do less as the kids are younger, but as they start to be older and grow up, she'll start to do that more and more so. I had said that she was going to try to actually take up the Eye of Ruin on being his pen pal a little bit, but that's not going to work because he fucking yeets himself up into the void. Once things settle down and her and Cal get married, I'm sure it's going to be opulent and scary, and there's going to be so many things. There's going to be so much like just world below aristocracy bullshit. And it's going to be rough, but I assume me and Raph did not talk about this, but I assume that they'll also take some time to kind of push the world below into the direction of like understanding the guiding light and being, you know, more accepting and temperate instead of the very zealous military and community that they have been. I don't know how well that will go. And I don't actually know if that happens or not. If Raph goes, no, I'm not into it. So, you know, I just brought that up myself. And then Raph has decided not to confirm nor deny if that will happen.
We can get
just leaving me hanging.
Yes, that is a section in Cal's backstory. But I'll expand on that a bit more. But yes, in general, in vague, yes.
Thank you for saying something so that I didn't look.
I realized I was muted.
I appreciate that. Twice, true. It's the third time this stream, and none of them were me, which is really nice.
Yet,
that's fair. Eventually, she will notice what Donnie is doing in Sirach, and she'll pitch in and start to help. I like the idea that it's sooner than Donnie would have liked things to have happened. Like I assume Donnie wanted to kind of like present her with like a mostly fixed city, but I like the idea of like her stumbling across it one summer while they're in Sathasa and being like, oh, have you heard about the cleanup in Sorority? All I'm just going to visit and be like, oh wait, this is great, and then like stumbling upon going, Donnie. Yeah, literally. She will finally get to visit her old house. I don't know how many people know or remember this, but in Zamani's backstory, as a part of like her whatever, she had a house in the where is it specifically? Where are the name of the woods? I don't remember. The Morabir Woods on the left side and the top ish
Just
a
north
little
of it.
bit. Yeah, just outside of it. Like deep in the woods, she had like a little cottage home. She'll finally get to go back and visit that, and according to Des, finds like a really sweet old couple that had escaped from Sarok, and Zamani will kind of like they'll both kind of adopt each other as like surrogate grandparent, surrogate daughter type thing a little bit. And she'll go visit them and make sure that like they're taken care of and have everything that they need until they eventually pass away. And then she'll clean up the little cottage, and then it'll be her and Cal's little escape from the world whenever they've been hounded too much and they just need to run away for a weekend or something. They will not tell people where this cottage is located.
No, it'll be the best kept secret. Best
Yeah.
kept secret of their lives.
She'll basically, especially once the kids start to get older, she'll start to go around more, and she wants to do as much as she can to spread good in the world and make sure that like no kids have to grow up the way that she did. That's her big thing, is that she doesn't want any kids to have to suffer. She understands that like that's not really how life works, that she can't like solve that problem. But I like the idea that she probably eventually also ends up setting up an orphanage in Ariel and helps run that alongside with the school. She also starts a scholarship program. I don't know how their tuition type thing works. I don't know. I'm from America and it's really expensive.
It's not
So
as
I
predatory as
assume-
that.
Appreciate it. So yeah, she'll start a big scholarship program so that anyone can join, regardless of like their financial situation, to make sure that things are going well for them. And I assume that Cal and Zamani are gonna outlive a lot of there's be a lot of mourning for that, a lot of sadness, and then going on to like help take care of like their grandchildren and I get potentially even great grandchildren, since they're living like 300 years. And just trying to do her best to kind of to make sure that her family is okay, considering that she never thought that she would have a family, to then having 13 children. I don't think she'll have any kids of her own. I don't know, let's God shit or whatever. Just it doesn't ever work out that way. But she just doesn't mind. She doesn't feel like she's missed out on anything because of that, because of this wonderful family that she does have. And then I had written stuff about them like being old and dying, but then Raph dropped on me that apparently they're gonna be alive by the time the next campaign starts, so check that out the window.
Yeah, it's you guys are gonna be there by the time campaign 3 eventually happen.
Which is wild to think about.
Zamani lives quite the long time though.
It's true.
And we still won't be friends with Aura. That still won't happen.
Never happened.
And I've decided that we're pulling a notebook though, and they're gonna die in the most romantic way possible, like on the same day, because fuck it, it's fantasy. We do what we want.
Whenever it does happen, that's how it's
So.
gonna happen.
Last, Calasindia.
This is going to be a long one. I apologize in advance.
Don't
So,
apologize.
for the first few years after slaying Lizephican, Calasindia, for the most part, endeavours to largely remain at Errol Keep and within the Kingdom of Burton. A uncharacteristic era of peace for someone so typically restless and in motion. He will continue his duties to grow Starless influence on the surface and to be an ambassador, hosting dignitaries from around Burton and the world. For Calasindia, it will be an era of peace, as he watches over Ariel and helps it grow and flourish. A large part of these more sedentary years for him, though, will be to spend time as a father and a husband, especially while the children are still growing up. For Calasindia, he knows that staying in one spot for too long is impossible for him, So he would cherish this time that he does spend with the kids growing up. These years will also see him make the fairly regular trips to the world below, especially in Calasindia's attempts to reform the Starless faith and to replace it with his own theological vision, based in the original writings of the Guiding Light and his original purpose, and trying to combine as best as he can the different elvish beliefs and faiths from around the world. During these visits, he would try his best to help his family in adapting to the challenges they face in this new era for the Starless. However, I'm sure that Calasindia will grow frustrated due to the slow progress of a lot of this, and the fact that some people, such as House Shitetheri, go largely unpunished and slink into the shadows of the world below. On one of these visits, I imagine probably the very first one, Calasindia and Zamani will have their marriage, and Calasindia will do his best to soothe any of Zamani's concerns and to be at her side, knowing how daunting and intimidating this process is for her. For Calasindia, the wedding, surrounded by his friends and family, will forever be one of the happiest days of his life. He will also try to, as best as he can, spread the word of the Guiding Light and the faith on the surface, but that is a long process, and he knows it won't be happening too fast. As Des covered, there's Calasindia learning under Irillan and growing his arcane powers in a more natural way, as his warlock powers diminish over time. However, as these decades creep to an end, Calasindia prepares for the future. He knows that what's to come with the Dragon King and whatever that brings with it. And so he starts to plan and get back into his usual routine of a flurry of plans, of writings, of drafts, of madness in a more organized sense than perhaps how it used to be for him. But towards the end of his time, as the plague sweeps across Burton, he will try to aid Everett and do his best to give the mercy of the Guiding Light to the people affected by it. And, of course, be at the side of Everett as he mourns. With the children grown up, though, and moving away from Ariel and living their own lives, Calasindia will take his leave. Knowing that it's irresponsible of him to try and hold on to his old positions and titles, Calasindia will, if he accepts, pass on the title of ambassador to Ruventier. Will he,
roll
Des?
me a D100.
That is a 56.
Ruventier accepts on the condition that that his betrothed can serve as a stewardess of Ariel, which shouldn't be that difficult because Bo-Katan already serves as such.
Mhm. Get the fuck out! Absolutely. You kept down there as a little secret, Des. We discussed
Was that
Ruventier,
like-
we discussed Vocatil. You never said any of that.
Raccoon
You motherfucker.
hands molding story.
You get your little raccoon
Was that
hands over
like
there.
pre all this stuff?
Yeah, they've been a thing since they were on the surface.
Uh,
But yes, as the Guiding Light departs and goes about his duties, but also with the Guiding Light's new pledge of peace and non-interference in the world, Calasindia will offer to act on his behalf as his emissary and his, well, I don't know, but it profit in another sense on the surface of Quenthos. Seeing his friends and his trusted companions grow old and some of them eventually pass away around him, Calasindia believes and will feel it is upon his shoulders to prepare Quenthos for what is soon to come in his mind. He will start enacting his plan, which I won't go into because there's a bit in there and Des can dig through that and decipher it, but Calasindia will be busy. He will be laying the groundwork, he will be planning, he will be preparing Quenthos for what is to come, armed with the knowledge and foresight that he has. Not knowing how much time either of them will truly have, and the uncertainty of it all, Calacindia will still try to spend as much time with Zamani as possible, and if she wants, work with her on all of his grand schemes and plans. Much unlike a younger version of himself, Calacindia will utterly confide and trust in Zamani with everything. Calacindia knows it'll be hard for Quenthos to awaken itself,
Your wires dropped out, Ref.
and that the shorter-lived races will forget in time the threat that is on the surface. Calacindia will bury himself in work as the centuries pass. His friends either missing or departed from the mortal plane, and his children dead. The unspoken pain of his elven lifespan will be upon him, the weight of ages bearing down upon his shoulders. He will continue to persevere, consumed by his work, with his purpose, but forever haunted by the knowledge that he's held in his mind. For Calacindia, there are many lives that have been lost to see Quenthos prosper and become a beacon of hope and light. Donovan, Zeph, Merkestiel, Everett in time, Theo, all of his children. He will pay regular visits to their grave and to their memorials, but pledging to remember them and to keep fighting for what they believed in. There is much work to be done for Quenthos, and few left to carry the torch forwards. The stars have not yet returned, and Calacindia will continue until they do.
Thank
You
you.
motherfucker.
So-
More tears.
With the conclusion of our hero's epic journey, once known as the Kingslayers, then come to be known as the Kingfishers, and in the end known as the Godmakers, they begin to fade into the annals of history. Legendary figures. Their ideals spark debates that echo across the ages, inspiring generations of future heroes. Some of their visions come to pass, transforming the world in profound ways. Cal and Zamani live long and storied lives, their legacies interwoven with the very fabric of Quenthos now. Yet, the tale of their eventual end remains untold, and I'll respect the potential of future campaigns to explore and expand upon that story, so I won't speak to their end today. As our heroes' deeds become the stuff of legend, our Kingfishers are remembered not only for their triumphs, but also for the questions they raised, the possibilities they unlocked, and the lives they changed. They leave behind a world forever changed by their courage, wisdom, and vision. Our world, where the next chapters wait to be written. And thus comes the end of Kingslayers. Well done, guys. You hit level 20.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it on mute for that one. Oh,
That's it. That's the story portion.
Oh, man,
Welcome
what
to
spell
everybody
am I
who tuned
gonna
in and
choose for level
followed,
20?
and the bits. Thank you so much. We are literally epiloguing the finale of the campaign. It's all on YouTube. 98 episodes prior to this. Quite a phenomenal story, if I do say so myself. But for now,
Hmm.
It's probably the best one you've ever done.
I mean, it's just a decent one. It's that's
So
what
far.
I've done so far.
Yeah,
So
I
far,
really,
true,
I
true.
really like the last third.
best third.
Biased.
Just a little.
But Raph, Jen, Viddy, Nate, AJ. Can't call you by your character name anymore. Do you have any questions about the story that unfolded before us?
An overwhelming amount of questions.
I'm still just getting through the whole ending thing, epiloguing character, and
Do we want
Tell you what, we're
um,
going to take a quick break
Do we
so we
want-
can all digest
Yeah.
our emotions.
yeah, I think that'd be
And
good.
for viewers as well, if you have questions about the campaign, we're epiloguing and now opening up to spoiler questions for everything that happened and came to be. Will we see a level 21 shot to bring them all back? Potentially. Potentially.
I mean, one
Watch this
literally
space.
got set up, so
Promethayer Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
The hunt for Grummy.
But we'll be back in about 5 minutes as we all go take a moment to silently cry to ourselves that we're done. See you in 5. Okay, we're back. So, let's change the music to something a little different than the ending. It has its own special music. But AJ, is something fun to start us back, as we had a character this entire campaign who could put out gross single target damage.
Yeah.
Zamani,
Yeah.
what are the numbers we have for the crits throughout the ages?
So I'm curious, and also, by the way, this information may not be completely accurate. This is just the ones that I wrote down. I'm curious, how many sessions out of 99 do you think Zamani crit, each of you? I'm curious.
Somewhere in the teens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're like
But if it's
15?
5% chance of 99,
Mhm.
so it should be like, what, 5%? Like, let's say rounded 5 sessions. 5 big crits.
It's not.
No,
No,
I'm-
it's
no.
not 99 combats. I reckon there's probably been like 5 or 6.
You
That's
also
what I'm
have
saying,
to count,
It's all,
like- you also
I'm
have
gonna
to
say
count, like,
more than that
advantage.
because, yeah. See, I
Let's
also
remember,
know
baby
Jen's
dice.
luck. I also need, Jen's luck with rolling crits. I'm gonna say close to around 10.
I want to say like 21.
21's far too
Yeah.
many.
All right. So I can tell you that Raf is correct. There were 10 sessions that
Oh,
Zamani
shit.
crit.
Yo.
It was a total of
Fucking
11 crits
alright.
because one episode she did 2.
Go.
Okay.
But we will start with session 11. 112 damage to a Noel Flind. Very impressive.
And
Eradicated that man.
What level was Zamani at?
11 would have been 7-ish,
Session 11. 7?
Ish.
I-
Yeah.
think-ish.
7
You
or
were
8.
level-
7 or 8.
You were level 7 or 8 and you did 112 damage.
Eldritch
Yeah.
Smite.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I think this was
She's
also
been
back when
busted since the
Merkestiel
start.
was a Grave Cleric and doubled the damage
Yeah.
of vulnerability.
Yep.
It's great.
Next, so according to my notes, you then didn't crit for 25 sessions. So session 36. Yeah.
Damn.
Session 36 was the next one. 130 damage to a Remoraz. Which I don't quite. Let me see what my notes say about where we were then.
You guys would have been in the frigid north near.
Yeah.
Oh, that was around the time
No,
when
near
she
Inisherin.
was like Lord of Disintegration, not having a good time.
No.
Also,
Yeah,
you
that
were
was just
super
before-
muted,
That
Raf.
was so muted. It was the same session as we killed Irazilic.
Ooh.
Yes.
We
Yes, yes,
had that
yes.
fight beforehand, and then we fought Irazilic.
Yep, which was the 23rd of Jariel. Then 10 more sessions
Also my
until the
birthday.
next crit.
Mhm. That was my infamous
10
birthday session.
sessions.
Yeah, soup.
Mm-hmm.
165 damage to during the fight against the Guardian at Lake Hetzspire.
That was
Then-
when Des pulled out their big little guy voice.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
that
a-
was great.
that was
It was
good.
beautiful. 2 sessions later, Zamani did 188 damage to Gromathir.
The first time, I think. The first time we fought Grumps here.
Yep. And now this is a question for the Lawkeeper and also Des. Session 59. Because I'm pretty sure my notes for session 59 were just
Yup.
me
Emperor of Cool
saying
Stronghold.
which- Okay, awesome.
So that would
'cause
have been
Zamani did.
critting on your old character then.
Yeah, true.
Mhm.
You did 179 damage to question mark.
There's something.
Certainly was something. Session 64.
So that crit
Was
would
the
have been
rematch-
on. Let me just get the name here.
It wasn't Zelfir, that was session 61. Session 60 was the Guardians of the Teleportation Chamber that we fought
Ah, okay.
in the Citadel of
So
Twisted Shadows.
59 was something else. Who knows?
Keep going.
64 was the rematch against Screw. And
Oh,
you did
yeah.
143 damage to him.
Nice.
You definitely did more, but
And that
That's
hit.
the only one I wrote down. Yeah. Session 68 must have been an off day for Zamani. Because she did 79 damage to something, and that's all I know. My notes for that session, Gen crit. 79.
Nice.
Bad dice roll.
That's
It happens.
lower. How is that lower than the level 7 and 8? Oh my
Well,
god.
level 7 and 8,
Yeah,
that's when Merkestia was a grave cleric.
Was
and
that
it
session
makes someone
68?
vulnerable.
Was that
Oh.
session
68
68?
is what I've got written
Oh.
down.
You know who Zamani crit in session 68? Sasara. That was the Sasara fight. It was against Sasara that Zamani critted.
Oh. Yeah.
And
nice,
did the
nice,
final
nice.
kill, I think. Fairly
Zamani
sure,
was
'cause
holding
it
Zamani
out
was
just
a little
paralyzed
bit.
her.
That was beautiful.
She's feeling a lot of emotions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Session 73 was the biggest amount of damage that Zamani did. And that's because it was 2 crits. First crit was 146 damage to the Fallen Angel. And the second crit was 106 damage to the Fallen Angel.
Jeez.
Yep. Zamani was busted.
And then we still
Then
lost
there was
Callus
another
in
bit
there
of a-
somehow.
Yeah.
We found
Don't
him. It's
steal my
fine.
hubby, damn.
Mhm.
There was 11 sessions between this crit and the second last crit, which was session 84. During the Trial of the Wasteland, you did 155 damage to the Rust Dragon Loris, or the Wasteland Dragon Loris.
Oh yeah, and then he started chasing me around.
he did.
Yeah. I mean,
was
you
a fun
deserved
one.
it. You stuck a pointy thing into him.
He started it.
Very true. Session 96. I want to say this was the final fight against Lezefican that we actually did. Against the flying electric eels and stuff like that.
Probably.
Zamani did 129 damage to a creature. And yeah. So let me just.
That's a lot of crits.
That's a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
You made a really good build, to be fair.
To be fair, you know what's funny? With 99 session, you crit on a 19 to 20 with your hex-based stuff. So that's pretty much 10% of the time you crit 10% of sessions. 10% of
That's
sessions.
pretty good.
10% of the time, it works every time.
In comparison, I think from session 72 till now, I don't think Zeph ever crit.
Get new dice.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
I like
you
my
know what
dice.
it
Don't roll
is? You kept
digital
using
dice.
roll 20 even after it fucked you.
Yeah, you
It's
kept using digital
true.
dice.
Oh, that's true.
Digital dice are wrong and stupid,
Digital
and I don't
dice
care
can
what
have
you
no
think.
loyalty.
I will-
It's
I will
true.
only use
Um,
physical dice moving forward, even if digital dice are a requirement.
Exactly.
the total damage of crits that Zamani did in 96 sessions was 1,532 damage.
It's a nice build.
Well
Nice
done.
build.
Filthy.
That was a beautiful build, Jen.
Nice
Gold
build,
star.
guys. Nice build.
Mhm.
That's a lot of
Especially when you
damage.
remembered to hit the second turn. You know.
Look,
Okay. I
I
got
was
a
about
lot
to say,
better
look,
at it
it was
later.
Dez's
on.
build. It was Dez's build, but you still piloted it. So you know what?
Not
Hands
well.
up to you as well. Look, well enough to do over 1,000
You know what
damage.
I never got to do the Hexblade's curse ability thing, where when you kill a guy, they become a ghost for the next 24 hours that you enslave,
Very true.
basically.
Never got that.
Actually,
Never
question
got
for
to.
Dez on that level. Did you actually have it planned what that would look like in terms of the specters?
I'd just be the soul of whatever it was. And
be the
incorrect, you
soul?
got it once in a fight where you were reclaiming the stuff before you fought Screw, the people in that little area. You got an
Apparently, it
curse.
wasn't as cool as I was hoping it would be because I don't remember.
I know, it's just a curse spectre, right? It's just a hexblade curse. So, with that, fun stats out of the way, unless anyone knows any other fun stats. I'll assume not. Guys, unless anyone has questions about anything in the campaign, we'll just end here.
I have a question.
We have
Wait, wait,
questions.
wait, wait.
Wow, hold on. Yes?
Vinny,
Hi.
you set up your child and one of my children without even asking in your end thing?
I didn't set them up, okay?
Yes, you
I thought it was.
did.
No,
You've
it's like
spoken
when you
into
like
the
send
world.
your kid to like a new school. And it's like, oh, you might be able to like make friends with like this student who's like
Sure you
also
did.
yeah.
Mhm. That's what you meant. Yeah,
Make friends
sure.
with this bird.
Again, I wrote in the ending. That's a story for another time.
Exactly. That's quite indicative, don't you think?
This is technically another time since Kingslayers has ended.
It's true.
True.
Just being that.
True.
So what were your intentions with my character's winged daughter?
What's your intentions with Zeph's winged son?
I'm not the one that started it. I didn't have any intentions.
Winged.
We've seen how that family acts. Like,
Look,
the intentions
Zeph
are one way,
right?
bro.
Zeph was like,
Mm.
like, oh, it's really nice. Like, you'll get to meet Era, who's like another like Corvathil, but like didn't grow up with like a Corvathil community. You guys might be able to bond and like,
Mhm.
be nice to one another.
And Jen's
That's
like,
what
so
you
I
meant.
took that personally. So I took that
Yeah. Apparently,
Sure, that's
not
what you
allowed.
meant. Sure.
That is what I meant. That's all I meant. I swear.
You're fine. I just
I've
wanted
only
to pick
had
on you.
I've only had my son for 2 sessions. I really don't know what his what his actual personality traits are like.
Oh, he thinks you're lame. That much we know.
But like every kid thinks their parents are lame. Come on.
I wasn't one of those kids.
I have a
There are exceptions.
I do not relate.
question for Des.
Okay.
Whatever happened to Anathor's soul?
It got consumed by all the forces that Samuels was using. It was by the time the only chance there was about a 25% chance that it could come back if you had acted on the offer immediately.
Too late, basically.
Too late and also very risky, and perhaps Anathor also just doesn't want to come back.
Cool.
Could you imagine getting killed by a group of like 5 guys and then as dead as a soul, those 5 guys then come back to you and are like, hey, let's go back?
Getting killed by a burger chain would be kind of weird. Just saying.
Mercestius like out here. I'm really in the mood for 5 guys, and I must specify, not the burger chain.
So that's what she's doing out in the woods.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Des, this is. I can't remember if this actually got answered or not, but in my mind, it still hasn't been answered yet. In regards to Gorthel. Now, Gorthel mentioned that originally slain by an elven vagabond that managed to challenge and defeat him. Who was that?
Who was that? So
Oh, one of my
Gorthel
questions,
said
you
that-
bastard.
Do I want? I suppose I should answer. It's done. It's over.
Well, Gorthel's story is over.
Who was it? He said there was
Is it?
3 people he'd ever seen good with a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Samael,
Somehow,
this dude,
the Ashen Lord.
The
the Ashen Lord,
yeah.
and this dude.
This dude, TM.
So
Is this dude also the same guy who had the book, like Xerxes' book, before, you know, because they were also called like an elven vagabond that wandered in speaking crazy.
no, that was a different person.
Okay.
The person that slayed Gorthale all those years ago was the Guiding Light.
Motherfucker.
Makes sense.
Motherfucker.
Wild.
Because it was back before the 300-year war, back like Gorthale's being ancient. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was the
Wild.
Guiding Light.
I have a question.
Okay, shoot.
How does Aura take it when she is told that she no longer has to research the phylactery?
We don't tell her.
So unsurprisingly the most that she's she hadn't really started much work on it, and just not trusting the actual kingfishers to not fuck it up
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
So
Is
she's-
somebody ever able to mend that bridge at all?
or is not interested.
It's funny.
You can get like back to a good working relationship, like hello in passing, but never friendly.
Her and Cal have the book club friendship. Like they're at the same book club and stuff. They talk about the different topics that come up. It's like it's that, you know?
Oh, Aurelia's not. Who takes over the book club then? Aurelia's mortal.
Wait, can I say a thing?
Yeah, go for it.
So Aurelia isn't just a satyr lady.
Yes! This
Huh?
fact! Holy shit,
Des
this fact!
told me this For
in
everyone.
confidence.
In
You can say it
Wait.
now.
I asked you if I could say it.
Yeah,
To
you
be
can.
fair. Okay. So Aura, her full name is Aurelia Clementine. And the satyr is a fae from her court that she works for with the Queen of Night and Magic, Brango Burr. Sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "Hey, let's go check out the mortal realm. I don't have a name. I can't give away my actual name. I'll just take yours." So the Aurelia is just she took Aura's name, and Aura calls herself Aura because Aurelia is her name, and Fae don't tell each other their names.
That's wild. I love that.
I love that when you found that was told to me.
Question for Raf and Des.
Oh.
Going back a while, Cal's madness phase. Was there ever anything that happened with Cal that was kept secret from the table in terms of the madness?
I want to say probably, but I can't think of anything specific. There was
No,
definitely
I
like
don't think
DMs
there was-
sent to be like. I think it was mostly.
I don't
dreams
think.
and visions.
I
that
don't
sent
think
you.
there was anything. Yeah, I don't think there was anything necessarily that you said like this is a mechanic type of thing that you can't tell the party, or there's this that you can't tell the party, or anything like that.
No,
I
I
think
sent
it
you some
was just-
visions you had that I said don't tell people. You kind of bring it up.
Yeah.
Aspects, but that was it.
Bring it up if you want. And I think for the most part, anything was just me, just behind the scenes, just getting into character and just character stuff, character work that I just didn't tell the rest of the party. In terms of just like
Cool.
random scribblings and writings that I would do and just like think about Cal's character during that period that I just didn't really get into. But no, nothing.
Also, for
Oh, yeah.
people, if you want to know this before I forget, do you guys want to know Aurelia's real name?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Vrava. Vrava.
Vrava.
That's very
Fuck
cool.
yeah. Bravo. That is a great name.
But
Dude,
she
I
couldn't
love
get it.
how
She's a
much-
face. She's like, I can't tell people that shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Big question I have to ask Des.
Okay.
Now, it's one of the parts of the campaign that has pained me, and I think it's pained a few other people at the table the most, which was how short and how painful our time was cut in Lavoca and Brindleton at large.
Oh my god.
Did-
yeah.
What were the major things and like quest lines and character moments that we missed out on in Brindleton and Lavoca because of that whole incident?
All of it. Like I had this
Yeah.
entire thing planned for you to like if we go back, like you guys were meant to actually partake in the festival, like the Hollow Man festival, like you're meant to see, what you call it, like I can't remember his name, like Eleanor and Valfira's like adopted children and like their lineage.
Yeah.
We're going to speak at the closing
Gravis?
ceremony.
Gravis.
Gravis, yeah.
Gravis.
Gravis.
Yeah, Gravis.
Gravis and Grandier, his son. But Gravis is like an old wheelchair-bound man. He was going to do the closing ceremony, and it was like you were meant to like learn all this, and Aura was going to guide you to Yundav and like introduce you to the council, and it was going to be like really kind of setting up them up as like a potential ally, and then also there was like potential like political ramifications for siding with Rindleton, because back then there was a lot of people on the Rindleton Council of 10 that are under the Sleeping Bloodline or were under the Sleeping Bloodline.
It
It also would have allowed you access to some of Aura's magics, like the sapphire crystals that float above Randrim to protect it.
I
Awesome.
swear to fucking God.
Des sent me Aura's sheet. Holy shit.
She's powerful.
She's fucking powerful. She is like holy shit
go.
levels of people. You can do that. Like player character, never. Absolutely. One of you mecheads would ruin it.
Oh, that's because it's not a player character anymore. It is a boss stat block if need be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she would have just snapped and we would have died.
that session was fucked. Getting force
I've
caged
got-
and then
I've got one, and it's a little bit funnier. Do the Tumblr book nerd and the fat boat captain in Theo have a hookup?
No, she
I
never
was
leaves
gonna
her house.
ask that.
She never.
I was
leaves
gonna
her
ask that
house.
fucking question.
Yeah, this is what you get for stealing my question, motherfucker.
God damn it.
beautiful.
No, she
Okay,
literally
cool.
never leaves her house, and he's not like a reader. He doesn't care.
I gotta ask. So this is. Oops, sorry.
I was
You go,
going to
you go.
make it a little bit more depressing and say, who did we lose during the fight against Lazefican of our companion team?
So not many because I'm basically just gave you guys the win. I did roll for some stuff, and I believe the only
dub.
ones that got injured would have been the Mevela the guard captain from Brendanwell. The Goliath troops had some losses, but no one named. And then Marius would have lost his right arm in that.
Oh.
Oh,
Poor Marius.
never mind. I liked his left better.
Pretty good question.
How
thank you.
I had
how
a
good
good
does the school end up growing? Like, how much does the school grow?
Decent size, but Kelsier takes on a lot of work with the humming cloaks, and between that, basically, it never expands bigger than RIL, but it's like a very small scale but extremely skilled school. But then the likes of the Aether Lyceum in the western side of the country, the continent, become much more popular. The Colleges of Storms kind of actually fade from magic tutelage and become more just like basic stuff like arithmetic, because just the certain level of people in magic kind of it wanes for a couple of years and then gets a boom again. But by that stage, it's mostly like private teaching, and then the Aether Lyceum setup, and then that's in the west, and then in the east you'd have the Kinvril Academy, which is small but skilled.
Nice.
Does Everett finish his trials? And what is the end result of that?
Everett finishes each of his trials, and eventually does unify the Morabir and the Kingdom of Burton, turning it into. I'll grab the name again.
New Pog place.
Velathir, and it is in future
Velathir.
campaigns will be known as Velathir, like the country
That's
name.
it.
What does
Love
Sirach
Cool.
end up being known by? Because there's no way in hell it stays Sirach.
As I said, Zamani, the city of second chances.
That's weird, considering that Zamani, the saint of second chances, is still there fucking around.
Where else would she be?
Yeah, true. Hi, I'm here to see Zamani at Zamani.
Exactly. That's weird.
Look, I'm going to the
Zamani
Temple of
would have
Seraph and
vetoed
Seraph.
it. Yeah, Zamani absolutely would have vetoed it and be like, pick something else.
It gets known as Tavil, Taville.
Davi.
Terrible. I like it.
Tavi.
But it's because of Donovan's actions that Serok becomes a major god.
Yeah.
Nice
Because
one,
Anatari
Donny.
has an entire capital city
looks
and
like you-
kingdom.
Looks like he won't be
Well,
resting in redemption for too much longer.
Donnie's fine. Donnie was always a bastard. This is like collateral damage.
Donny.
You know, it's like what the road to
Road
hell
to,
is paved
road
with
to
good
Osiris
intentions.
is
with good
paved with good
intentions.
intentions.
Yeah.
Slightly strange, maybe completely inconsequential question for you, Des.
Yeah.
The moon elf that was working in the Lysandros Manor,
Yeah.
Aratea. Who was she on the other side of the world? Was she anyone notable? That I would, at least. This is more of a deep lore thing that's purely for me, but
Deep
I'm curious.
So I can pull that up. I just have to find it.
Real deep.
So deep we can't see the bottom of this shit.
That's before my time.
Valid.
She would be the Princess Nirnath of the royal family of the Moon Elves.
I thought so. Thought of that.
Yeah, so did I. Haha.
Shut up.
That's a kind of interesting knowing how some of the other royal families survived as well for moon elves. That's actually, it's interesting. I'm curious about that.
Basically, during all that was going off, they sent her with the Firewalker as like an assurance to make sure the royal family lives on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Was Sakiri always earmarked as Nayakul?
Yes. Since the
Nice.
first introduction, way before you played with us.
Fucking awesome. Gangster
Mhm.
shit.
Are there any major plot points that had to be revised due to the
The
actions of the
ending.
party.
The
Well, I know the
entire
ending.
ending.
I know the
Samael
ending,
fight.
but besides the big
Yeah.
ending, like is
Um,
there anything notable in your mind where it's like, oh, this was a really cool quest line, but we
Let me
never
just
hit it.
point so stream can see. So there was a god that was meant to stay as a major god throughout the entirety of like stuff and be redeemed, and yeah, down there. And basically that didn't come to pass.
Oh, hi there. I make choices.
Also, we had another player that was meant to be the phoenix of said deity, and they also just abandoned that plotline. So I basically ripped it up like 15 pages of notes. That was a big one.
Oh, hi there. I'm stupid as fuck.
What else? Siding with
What
Samael
about
that
character
changed
there?
the entire ending of this game because they
That's
were
a
meant to
big
fight
one,
Samael.
So
We were meant
everything
to
you wrote
end it
for
like-
Yundov.
Yeah.
We were meant to end at like 15, weren't we?
14.
14. Yeah, level 14 was what we were meant to finish at.
Oh man.
I got a 3-parter.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Oh.
Punch
Okay,
it.
so first one, did Donnie and the Lord of Decay ever become friendly or at least civil?
Yes. It gets revealed shortly after when Zamani goes back to her old house that the Lord Decay actually approaches her and thanks her for allowing him to actually play the part of such a traditional devil. Because he's not a devil. And he just
Yeah.
really wanted to get into that for a bit. So he really enjoyed it. He's
Yeah.
still like definitely not a great guy, but I think towards the end part of your life, and like especially as you kind of traverse the plains, the Lord Decay has a lot of plans for Cirrus, a lot of ambitious plans, but he is by no means a devil. He just plays the part.
Yeah, it was never a philosophical problem. Donnie just always didn't like him on a personal level, so I'm glad they grew out of that. Second thing was, did the regents of Osiris get visions about the dragon in the same way that the ascended gods did?
They didn't ascend with a shard of the dying god, so they did not.
Wait, then
Greg-
how did a Greggy then?
Greggy is a saint. Brought to
Yes,
He's
saint.
just
but-
sainted.
But you
Sainted.
said
And
that he
part of that-
ascended through the patronage of the other, like.
No,
the
he
other
worships the
Jotans.
patronage of the other Jotans, but he was ascended to sainthood by Celalio, Nemivana, Zagoli, and the Zephyrin.
Oh, got it. So
Anyone
they
that was
just, like,
touched
yeeted him
by
at that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they just gave it to him. They basically made him the saint, but he
Yeah.
he doesn't care for any of it. He still worships like the big one.
Awesome. And third one, what were any of the visions that you were able to share? We know what the Zephyrkins was. We know what Celelios
Oh.
was.
We don't know Zagolia's, do we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Zargolas was losing
We
the
do.
world essentially, burning in
that's right.
flames,
Yeah.
and that there is no hope.
Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't write it for everyone. I kind of just had most of them knowing that it was coming and ending because unless you guys were really seeking out someone, I didn't write it because it wasn't.
What about
named.
Xerxes?
Xerxes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Xerxes sees a future that I can't explain.
Okay.
Oh, it
Understand.
goes into the
Can't
headache
explain
room.
for
Yeah,
what
fair enough.
reason.
No, it goes into campaign 3 and potentially 4.
Oh,
Ooh,
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Fair.
Were there any others that were pretty on
Gnarly.
the nose?
In what regards?
The visions. Were there any that we were close to being able to ask?
You could have asked Justina or Bison. They would have said something very, very similar to what Nemivana, like they were working off of like Samael's and like everyone else's visions that like kind of if people work together it'd be possible, but the problem is no one's working together because very few people are having that vision.
Yeah.
Oh, question.
Yeah.
Was Lezephican always meant to be a word that I can't say on Twitch that, starts with a C?
Yeah, he
Australian
was set
word.
up from the start to be a an absolute lovable person. Like no, from the start, he's the one that
Dwarven
gas.
word.
He set you up from like the start to abandon Soleti. Like he gaslit you so well.
Yeah. Yes, you did, Des.
No, he was
Also,
always,
Valor
like, he
pla-
was
Valor
always most
played-
self-interested because he was the one who had the vision that it would be him to stop it all.
Yeah.
And obviously, like keep like using Mercestius like that, like the thing to uprise him and help get to other like aspects of divinity. Like when he consumed that shard, he was stronger than any ascended god had ever reached.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why did the gods leave? The old gods?
Why did the old gods leave?
Yeah, at the end.
At the end.
To stop interfering.
So that is, I won't talk too much into
Family
it, but
bonding.
it's also to explain fully to the Firewalker and the Eye of Ruin exactly what the Void Dragon really was, and explain the planet that they came from, that got consumed by the Void Dragon, because their mother was part of the Void Dragon. Other than that, it is also now the belief of the Guiding Light that the old god's intervention into mortal affairs causes cataclysmic damage, and old gods really should not be interfering on this mortal realm.
So where did they go?
Yeah, based.
Oh, well, I can't explain that because that's relevant for campaign 3.
They went into the back rooms.
Des, in terms of how many fates for the kids do you have planned out? Was mine and Cal's kids, and are you able to share any of them?
Yeah, I can share a few of them. So Zelly goes through a massive emo phase for the next 6 years. And then she basically finds passion again by joining up and becoming the vice principal with Kelsier, because she wants to take care of the kids and teach.
Aww.
Zelly becomes the vice principal.
Elrin eventually finds and kills what he believes is the entirety of what's his name?
Proxia.
Proxia. Arthas Zexel.
Arthas Zexel.
But he misses a fragment, but he doesn't know that. So he eventually does that, and then he kind of roams the world doing whatever he can to serve his self-interest and study. Never quite teetering into the point of villainous action, because he's seen what heroes are capable of doing to those that strike out against the interest of the mortal races.
Well, that's good at least.
He's too afraid of what his parents were doing.
Yeah, kind of.
He's like, holy shit, my parents are level 20. Fuck
He
One's
does
a
seem
saint.
exceptional mage, and there is a string of people that basically he decides for a while that don't deserve magic, and he will sever them and take their books for himself. And he sets himself up pretty well, and eventually retires as a researcher in the Aether Lyceum, but never takes up a role of teaching.
Nice. Question for Raph. You mentioned in the epilogue bit that Cal learns new stuff and learns arcane stuff. What level shift do you see him making? And which subclass?
I think I've spoken to this a bit about Des, so I think what I'm speaking to is a bit of confidence. Basically, entirely shifting over to wizard, but but then having access to some clericy abilities due to his continuing connection to the Guiding Light and his connection to continuing to act on his behalf. So I think I won't go into that because that was also Des and I, but it still has some clericy type abilities. But otherwise, all levels into wizard, putting his theoretical knowledge into practical use, and actually just embodying that. As for subclass, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
Cool.
Yeah. I think, look, Calicinda would accumulate a lot of different types of magic because that's just the person he is. He's just curious and would keep looking into it. But yeah, I'm not too sure about the exact subclass.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yes, what are the long-term ramifications of the Alliance of Whispers?
It disbands after the Zephyrian passes. After that kind of entire thing, the long-term ramifications is the Rahashir get a lot of the financial abilities that the College of Storms would have accumulated. They did very well. Mantarathier now has a public alliance with the world below. That's another good one. The Humming Cloaks now become more widespread faction, and they get a large drive in recruitment numbers. And the Joraheen basically take all the Doomsday books from Lezefrican's library and from the actual Rabosa term library.
Oh yeah.
Does Causes ever visit the bakery?
No.
Aw.
He
Liar.
doesn't leave much again. He sends illusionary versions of himself to visit Donovan on occasion, but it's mostly like a very much so like, I want you to bring me things, please.
Yeah.
But he does
Teleport,
cast
give
Dream
me
on Donovan
cookies.
every now and then.
Good.
What was I gonna say? There was a question I had there for a second. Oh yeah, I'm just curious.
Um,
What was Xerxes? I suppose Lord of Decay by extension, but particularly Xerxes. What were his actual thoughts on the members of the Kingfishers? Like individually,
God,
what
you
did he
wanna
think
know?
of them? What did he actually think about them?
Okay,
Hey, it's
so
me, the thug.
I'll do Xerxes first. He thought of Zamani like a daughter. He thought of Donovan like a best friend. He was fond of Calicindia, but never found like a good connection to like really drive it home. His thoughts on Merkestiel were that she's very easily
Ugh.
manipulated and was worried if she ever fell into the wrong hands, she would do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And with Zeph, he kind of just respected him for his position, but never got to know him enough.
Fair.
The Lord of Decay, however, he saw Calicinda as a bit of an, although he would never admit it, perhaps an intellectual equal. But he would never tell Calicinda that. He'd always say he's below
God
him.
no.
Raph loves this.
With Zamani, he thought that it was like it was his first like proper joy of a true warlock pact that he felt he was a proper devil in. So there's a lot of happiness with that, and he respected Zamani for getting out of it a lot. He was very entertained by that. He thought Donovan was an absolute little shitter, and just thought he was like he saw Donovan like a kid throwing a tantrum. He was like, this is just, it's like a crying baby in a mall. Like, why did you bring your child into the cinema? Why did you bring your child into the cinema? He saw Merkestiel as a buffoon.
Yeah. Based.
Like,
Fair.
honestly, he was like,
Fair.
honestly, especially after what he heard from Anna when it all got back, it was like, oh wow, like I could manipulate her with a sentence.
Yeah. Like, I could manipulate her, but she's too stupid to breathe.
Yeah, it's just bad. And Zeph, again, he did not get to know Zeph enough.
Fair.
I love how Zeph was there for like one of the important meetings, just like, oh, hello.
Zeph actually was the only person who like sat down and took notes for that as well.
Yeah. Mm.
Look, Zeph was just there to like channel the information from one place to another.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I literally have answers for pretty much every NPC you guys could ask for. So
Oh. See, now I'm just gonna
Alright,
go
let me-
through the
let me
list.
flick through and get the deep shit.
Okay.
What
I need to
happened
think.
with the dragon at the very beginning? The light dragon?
so that light dragon was taken and turned into an undead dragon by, well, an amalgamation by Raynor's father.
But what about the baby?
07.
Eventually the same fate.
Yeah.
There was a chance it
Um,
was able to rock up as a retainer for you guys, but it just never rolled that way and eventually fell into the wrong hands.
That would have been so cool.
What happened to the teacher that got plane shifted by the kids? The kid
Oh,
teacher. Which
They
plane?
got
And
plane shifted into Everearly in the plane of negative energy, and eventually got their entire life force drained.
nice.
Fun.
Damn.
Arithmetic, am I right, boys?
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's a bit fucky.
What's the fate of? Does Savar Rajat become less of a disappointment to his dad?
Never quite. He actually dies in the
Aw.
plague.
Oh fuck! I feel sorry for this poor guy. Jesus,
Yeah.
he has had these
After
shit-
his older brother, who married Kazori, passes, he is forced to attempt the trials and gets sick. And as he is about to finish the trials and actually succeed, the plague overcomes him and he falls and dies to the forces that attack him.
This poor motherfucker. God.
What happens to Teethan and the Priory?
They do their best during the years to come to help with the plague that goes through, but he survives and lives for a long enough time. Briefly, Kiana does try and go sleep with Teethan, but then she comes out as asexual shortly before and just decides that it's not for her.
Yeah. Yep.
It's fair.
Mm.
How big does Ariel get?
Ariel grows to population of about 8,000 by the next campaign.
And is it called the town of Ariel? Or
Yeah.
is it... Yeah, nice. Hell yeah.
It's very
We love that.
What does Solelio do? Like, what does Solelio's the next few decades / centuries for Solelio look like?
A lot of introspection, looking around, trying to fix smaller relationships and fix her relationships with the other ascended gods. Overall, it's like kind of trying to bring about the popularity of the Church of the Morning Sun again, which is a slow and steady work through both Kiana and Zamani at times going out to proselytize and preach about the things. Then kind of in about 10-ish years after the events of Kingslayers, there's one Fire Sky dance where she materializes near Ariel Keep because she's got enough power again to speak to and formally actually apologize face to face to the people she brought back.
Aww.
Cute. Cute as
That's
fuck.
so
But
sweet.
every time she kind of gets close to getting back to like higher goddess as she normally uses the power, because part of her doesn't want to get major godhood again because she doesn't want that level of power again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Des. Elias Terendia, the one who originally owned Ariel Keep, he disappeared.
Yeah.
And his magical experiments and all that.
Yeah.
A, what was he doing with these magical experiments? And B, where did he disappear to? What happened to him?
So he was trying to basically make illusion reality. He was trying to figure out a way to make illusions and like thoughts and experiments come to like solid form, like concentration, like just like create things out of nothing. He got taken in by a creature of the nightmare court in Vitrisian. Not Vitrisian, what's the word? Zarthel.
I was going to say Valora for a second. Yeah, yeah.
So basically, Land of Sleepless
Zarthel.
Dreams, he gets oofed by a nightmare demon, a nightmare monster, and his body's technically out there somewhere, but it doesn't go by Elias anymore.
Yep.
What a scrub.
yeah.
That's like a 14th level illusion wizard's ability.
That's rough.
How long does Doug live for?
The Invisible Stalker.
Yeah, my buddy.
Kind of indefinite. It's a construct of like arcane creation.
What happens
Fuck
with
yeah.
Morpheus?
I was going to ask that. What happens with Septemtra? I mean, not Septemtra, Cephasa.
It goes through
Wow.
a couple like bits of reform, political change, trying to make peace deals with the Ceruvian elves and expand its territories within the Ceruvian desert. Eventually, Morvis takes on a bride in about 7 years from now, and it comes out that he's actually infertile, so he is the first king or sovereign of Cephasa to have a assigned heir that he chose by an adopted kid found from Ariel.
Aww. That's very sweet.
But he does well. It takes him a long time to get back good. One thing that comes up is Everett goes down as the Wise King, is the title he earns.
Yeah.
For the friends he chose and the people he kept.
Glad. Is Amani able to actually foster that like sibling relationship with Morvis?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was worried they might not get along.
It's not
what
easy, but eventually it happens.
Yeah.
What happens with Thin Vale? Is the land like reused and repurposed, or does it remain as a memory?
No, so it eventually gets repopulated, but as a military port.
Cool. Very cool.
It's the island, right?
That's where Marek Catholic
Yeah,
is.
that's
Yeah.
where all the undead. We basically went to an island,
Yeah.
killed everyone, turned them all undead, and then went, oopsie.
big oof.
It's certainly something.
Yeah.
Do they end up casting any more 10th level magic?
No, it never actually succeeds again.
Nice.
Um,
Good.
Also, after the war went out here, some people try, but it's lesser circles of mages, and like there's not like really wars, like not great war stuff that requires it. Some people try, or it would be the one who would get the closest with increasing the defenses over random with the sapphire crystals. That would be considered above 9th, but not quite 10th.
It's fair.
What happens with? Sorry, you
No,
go.
you go ahead.
I'll say with Bridget.
Bridget, so
Does she join the Ring
spends
Legion?
a couple years getting teachers coming down from the Ring Legion to come and teach there, and then when she's about 8 or 9, she goes up to Bellerin, kind of after the war, after the rebellion's taken place, and is in boarding school up there until like 18, 19, and then she goes about an adventure to try and basically trace her father's footsteps around Quintus and figure out where he went and what he was all about.
Big lore question for Nemevana. What happened to Lyrian that caused this great amount of anguish? So that is Nemevana's lost lover. What happened in the story? Like, how did she die? Stuff like that.
Oh, slain by Jotns.
Okay.
But
enough.
they were slain by Jotns in front of Nemevana when they were bound, and they were made witness the prolonged execution of the lover.
Fuck. Yeah, that would be enough to make anyone go nuclear if it was mentioned again.
There is a very minor thing that I don't know if anyone's even going to ask a question about.
Ooh.
Share it.
Give us a clue.
Back, it's to do with Anna.
What about Anna?
I think as
Yeah, no,
Spark went in
nothing.
Rhapsodize, I don't know if he knows what to ask.
I mean, there's a lot of questions to do with Anna. So I mean, look, I'll get you to just ask.
So
to go on with what
Anna
you
sent
want.
out a thing, kind of a hope into the ether. Well, Anna's mother did when they realized Anna died, and we found out who Anna's father was. It was the Moonlit King, the former husband to the Queen of Night and Magic.
Yeah.
He breaks out of that prison in the Feywild.
How's that shit? What happens with that shit?
Well, he causes a bit of havoc because he has alliance with demons, with Rapelas Erix. So he causes a bit of havoc in
Yes.
Osiris, and eventually,
That's a name. Holy shit.
Legend.
basically after the time he gets his revenge on the Narhajad, he makes his way to what will be the snow courts in Vitrisian
Vitrisian.
to plot a new rebellion against the Queen of Night and Magic.
Wow.
Understandable. Or it will be gone by that point.
Yeah,
I remembered a previous question.
Yeah.
How did Celelio get the Phoenix back?
Just war of attrition, and eventually she had done enough forces, and the Lord of Decay kind of was. He has more plans of what he wants to do within the within the courts of Osiris and the regencies, and it was just drawing enough resources away, so he sacrificed that Titan in a strategic move in exchange for other Titans.
Oh, that doesn't feel good.
Speaking of Bridget,
Yeah.
during the during the talks, this is a very important lore question that I must have closure on. Bridget adopts a raccoon by the name of Bundle,
Bundle.
who she was feeding coffee beans to.
Yeah.
So,
Such a round boy.
does anything happen to Bundle? Does Bundle just die a big old
Bundle-
fat raccoon, or?
Bundle gets close to death, and then Bridget finds a ritual to turn him into a familiar of Fey origin.
Oh.
Aww.
And Bundle has mobility issues for the rest of his life, unfortunately.
The cutest familiar.
You
But,
like your massive, like your big round familiars, Des. This is the second one now.
look, if I had a nickel.
Because there was the one way back over in Durapadon that was, I think, like a pangolin or something that was
Yeah,
just
and he kept
such
eating the
a round
sandwiches.
boy. Yes.
Ivan.
Ivan, that's right. What a friend.
That was a bit of a meme.
Look, massive
at the time.
raccoons. Who doesn't like them?
Yeah.
How does the world
Never.
below change?
Slowly, unfortunately,
Yeah.
very slowly. Especially with the guiding light taking a leave from the mortal realm.
Can you imagine, like, you're like, hey, I'm your god. Bye.
I mean, I think the hardest.
There's a
thing
reason why
for
Cal gets frustrated.
Yeah. But it's slow progression, but it's not no progression. And as I said, like,
I mean,
there's
at
still
least they've got their
sights of the old gods
afterlife.
every now and then. Like they're still seeing like glimpses of their likeness around every now and then.
Once Merc finishes building the priory, does Nemavana swing by to bless it, or at least have a
No.
look?
Never. Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Sometimes Berzio and
100%.
Mercestio thinks it might be Nemavana, but
Oh yeah, Merc talks to every single bird as if it's Nemavana, or what was the Bethany. She
Yeah.
calls every bird that she sees Bethany from now until she dies.
no, Nemavana gets very spacey after specifically after the events because like Mercestio is part of a prophecy to either raise one god above the rest or weaken all four.
Mhm.
And as
She
such,
definitely raised one.
none of the gods got extremely booned by Mercestio. So small events, whether there's like small hindrances like like through Mantara Thea as well, all of the major gods that Mercestio was associated with either have become minor or weakened. Even Zygoli and Nemavana, due to the amount of worship they lost through the war with Mantara Thea.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think that's something that we actually didn't discuss. What happens to Merc at the end of her life?
Yeah, I was I was gonna stroke there.
I think you're the only person
I was
who is
gonna
just like,
ask-
yeah, like the only person who can
Yeah.
because Cal and Zamani are now basically immortal. But like,
Yeah.
They
We
only
died.
live like 300 years.
I think, yeah, I didn't think about it massively until you guys all started talking about how your characters die, and I'm like, shit, well, I guess I better think what happens to Merc. I think that, yeah, Merc definitely establishes the priory, works it for the remainder of her life, because she's, mid-30s by the end of Kingslayers. So a good, probably 50 years, maybe not, maybe a little bit more, but not too much more. She eventually will make her way back to Burton, very much like not making a big deal about it. Definitely doesn't go to the castle or anything, but just goes, finds a small house, lives there until she passes, and when she passes, there's a note left for whoever finds her that asks that she be buried next to her parents in the graveyard at the Circle of Flowers. Yep. That is a good point, actually. Des, you said a while back you had plans for where Merc goes when she dies.
So I had a lot of plans for where Merc goes when she dies. That changed based on things you'd done. Eventually you will find yourself in Nemavana's domain, but kind of more just like at peace, not really so much like an afterlife of glory or like advisor or anything, just kind of like you can rest now.
Yeah, I do feel like Merc eventually she just becomes that blue tiefling that once she was a hero, now she was just Merc.
I think that's
Actually,
what
that's a
Marcus wanted
question-
for a long time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On that
Um,
on that point, I think it's pretty cool. What happens to Donnie's soul after he dies?
I was gonna
Um,
ask.
Donyasel, after he dies,
Does he go to
he's-
Osiris?
he's met. So
Was he into
originally he
Osiris?
he finds the lantern
See you.
of Zygolia to bring him to Osiris, as that is what has claim on his soul. But then a gentle hand offers you another pathway, which is offers Donovan a branching pathway to either find peace with the Firewalker's afterlife or Xerxes' afterlife.
Is Xerxes' afterlife just him in the kitchen cooking for his kids and babysitting?
Occasionally, you will be pulled from a peaceful afterlife to do so if you choose that.
Fucking bullshit.
It's
But
like
yeah,
you're at like
that's
eternal
probably what-
peace, like you're just like everything is like chill and resting, and then you just get
Yeah,
like suddenly
Yeah,
you
we've
get
got-
sentience, and
we've
you're
got
like,
movie reservations. Can you come and
Yeah.
babysit
"Our other
for 4
babysitter bailed on
hours?
us. Can you come last minute?"
Yeah, I
Wow.
feel like Donnie's playing like celestial bingo in the great afterlife in the sky, and then just Xerxes with like one of those old-fashioned crooks, and just goes yoink.
No, his Nokia 3310 goes off, and he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta bail. I'll see you in a bit."
It's
Your
on a
celestial
it's on a
your
hoop on his
celestial
belt
pager.
to just
Yep.
Yeah,
Gun.
yeah.
What does
Just like,
becoming a
"Did-did-did-did."
saint entail?
So I'm not telling you anything until Zamani passes away.
Oh my god. Why?
Because you're still alive.
Asshole.
Okay, just like it didn't matter.
It
Is
will
this not
matter
like
for
the se-
future campaigns.
Is this the second character
What?
you have now where you're just not gonna have closure?
Yeah.
Look, you have a lot of
Mhm.
closure, but she still has a long life ahead of her at Calicindir. And as I told you, most of the sainted powers become a thing post-death. If you hadn't sought out a
Interesting.
Greggy,
Also,
I would
Zamani-
tell you, but you sought out a Greggy for a longer life.
I just
Yeah.
wanted a long enough life to be able to raise the kids.
And you did, and
Look
then
where
some.
that gets you.
And
Mm.
grandkids. and
Now I'm warning
great-grandkids.
them.
Yeah.
What happens to Zeph afterwards? Because like Zeph doesn't
So
worship
Zeph
God.
is
There's a place for that.
Zeph gets two options. Zeph
Zeph gets
finds
options.
upon death, the guiding light's domain is that of the land for those who don't worship. For anyone who is just in life and is not being claimed by elsewhere, the guiding light offers them a place of rest. Alternatively, Zeph also gets an offer on their death, which doesn't get given to most, by the Dawn Watcher. As your experience as a wayfinder, he needs to search many realities for his form, and he would like help.
I think too. I think Dawn Watcher.
Fuck yeah.
So Zeph
That's
then
it.
spends the afterlife exploring many realities in a sort of astral form, trying to find evidence of where the Dawn Watcher's mortal, like material form is.
Just when I thought I was out, they dragged me back in.
Kicking and screaming.
But that's kind of cool because I'm assuming the astral form is like impervious to everything and just witness, just like
Yeah, just
the-
literally going
what
and
is it,
exploring, but impervious.
What's the Marvel the Watcher? I think it's just called the Watcher.
Yes, the
in
Watcher,
Marvel
Uatu.
comics. Yeah, just that, but bird. Much better.
If the
Yeah.
old gods go, what happens to their divine domains? Like, so
They're still worshipped by the people in the material realm. Like their power isn't there, but they just aren't active on the material realm. They're still worshipped as such.
Yeah. And
God's not
way
walking
that-
around.
Yeah, and like they don't really need to be as ever
They don't
present
need
as the
worship. Is the
ascended.
thing for old gods.
And that's
They
the
like
thing,
it,
and they
don't
can
need
just-
it.
And it's like they can appear if they need it, or if there's like an intervention type thing. If there's that, it's much more loosely defined rules.
All prayers just get an answering machine. You have reached the Farwalker.
actually on that, in his very short life, does Donnie ever see the Firewalker again?
You see glimpses of a figure that you remember from the festivals around Theal at times.
When's the surfing competition?
Yeah,
Every year.
Goddamn surfer.
Most years.
And what happens to the coin?
You keep it to the day you die. And when
And
whoever goes to
then?
try and find Donovan, the coin is not there.
Of course.
So
Unlucky
between
guys.
the mortals, who dies first?
Age-wise, how old was Zeph at the start of during Kingslayers?
Initially I had written down like mid-30s, like early 30s.
I love it how all of the mortal options, we are all mid-30s.
All right, Nose goes first then.
Oh yeah,
Donovan goes first.
Donna dies.
Oh, yeah.
that makes sense actually. Yeah,
Yeah, the soul
Yeah.
was a little battered.
Too much drinking.
yeah.
Too much hard labor in the mines.
Yeah. 3 years of it, and then he plots a prison escape.
Yeah.
One thing that no one's asked that I thought AJ would ask is Vic's still out there.
Yeah, I was tempted to ask, but I also thought, like, you know, maybe that's a C3 thing. But yeah, what happened to Fick?
Vic returns
Still bouncing?
to buy time for the next time the Emperor of Ghouls wants to plan an invasion on the surface. They are still the kind of the triggering force for that.
Dickhead. Yeah.
There's a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
What is the in-game day and month and year?
In-game day
You
month and
play-
year at the end.
You play at the end. You plagued us with this for weeks, and I thought it was
So it would have
only
been
fair that I
over
get
the
revenge.
3-month time skip, around the first few months, around the 26th of Uvalander in 541 New Dawn, and then just before the end probably would have been in and around about the just start of Percendial in the middle of spring when you went to fight Les African. Maybe like the first.
Nice.
And now we know, guys.
Beautiful.
Finally.
Let's
So,
go.
so if they ask, we can tell them.
Elcirus makes your circle and eventually just passes from the amount of smoking they did on the job. Just
Shut the fuck up.
passes cursing the Kingslayers.
I feel like, yeah,
We can
it's,
send for
it's,
another Arcanist. We don't have to have
it's
it.
that exacerbated by the plague.
Yeah. Some key NPCs will pass to the plague because it is impervious to magic.
Yeah.
They could.
So even like paladins get like immunity to disease or whatever, that bypasses it.
Yeah, it targets creatures with higher magic. So
Do we ever find out the cause of it or not?
no. Rav, out of character as a co-world builder for this world, knows the origin of this, but is
Yeah, I know more about this.
limited
to
is
secrecy.
sworn to secrecy.
I feel like you
Keep
mentioned
watching. Keep watching the Eldritch Scribe if you want to find out.
I feel like you mentioned an idea about this, like when it was like in conception to me forever ago, but it's so like fuzzy at this point. I'm like,
People that would die to the magic. People that would die to the plague.
That was a close one.
Just
Des.
imagine.
That was a close one. Sorry.
That was a close one.
It targets some people like Kendry in and Grelin in Burton. It targets eventually Nagel passes to it. Barad finds his last days with it.
In 7.
Then other than that, like people of note that you would be interested in. Not many. Like Theo is the big one for like the party that they would lose.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Does Kelverith?
Kelverth is fine.
Cool. Awesome. Good.
Is there anything that you were wanting to talk about that we haven't asked about?
Not particularly. I didn't know what you guys were going to ask about. So it's mostly just me answering questions on stuff that you guys are curious about.
Do you have any questions for us you'd like to ask us?
Oh,
Ooh.
Turn it back on us.
Hit him with the Uno reverse.
Yeah.
yeah. Now that it is all over and done, what is your single biggest moment that you will remember this campaign for?
the choice in the tavern, in Host Tavern, having 3 gods yell at me and be like, "Pick, bitch." Yep.
Mine is really goofy.
Go for it.
Do it.
It's the moment
Goof.
that Donovan was yeeted by Tuvu when they first met.
Yeah.
Over the castle
That's
wall and
great.
shit.
Over the castle wall, yeah. Because it was like
Beautiful.
that was one of the companions like bonus actions. It's like, oh, you can throw them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3,
To like
2,
get
1.
closer to people. And then like
Yeah.
Donovan, without missing a beat, is like, "Can I try?" And I'm like, "Can we actually? Like, what is the mechanics behind that?" But I don't know. There's so many great moments, but that's the one that like sticks in my head of like, yeah, that was kind of like what kind of established Zeph like within the group. It's like, oh yeah, let's do
Yep.
goofy shit. And then immediately
Mine
get
is
like destroyed by aliens, not aliens, angels. The following session.
Mine is in a similar vein, and it's our what is it called? Like a trauma bonding over these idiots that we've found ourselves with
In the bar
talk?
tavern.
Oh, the bar.
Yeah,
talk.
yeah. We're like, oh god, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I
just,
just
the two
like-
new guys. The 2 new guys.
Yeah,
going
just like-
oh, yo, this is kind of fucked. Like, what is
Oh,
going on?
You don't
here?
even know the half of it, buddy. Have another shot. Sit down. We're gonna get into some shit. That was an absolute. That was a party. That was a lot of fun. I did like dying and then dying again immediately
Detonating
afterwards
your
with a
corpse
corpse.
was
You
fun.
died so many times. I was like, what?
I died at one time.
Nah.
You
And then
also
you
died
touched
when you
the
touched
sword.
the sword.
Prolonged death, to be fair.
That doesn't count.
Those count. Yes, they do.
It doesn't
It counts.
count.
100%.
Old god
100%
bullshit. It's fine.
Donnie really just
he
touched the
wasn't
sword
gonna
and did the
do
oblivion.
anything.
Just ragdoll.
Or just the Minecraft. Oof.
Okay, it was 2 times.
Favorite
But yeah, the
moment though?
Detonate corpse is great.
Yeah.
Go, Raph.
No, I'm struggling. There's so many moments I want to pick. This
For
is
me,
tough.
if I was pick casting, it was Inishale.
I'm leaning towards Inner Shale and the claiming of the first shard, the fight with Irazilic, all of that. That like the real start. The start. Actually, not even the start. It's the beginning of like the middle part of Calacinda's journey, the end of the beginning. Symbolizing a lot of changes within him. That was. Yeah, I reckon that would be up there. That would definitely be up there. The first time to the world below would also be up there. The moment between Calacinda and Zamani in the Woad in Yundev,
That's one of mine too.
that's also up there.
What session was that?
I can
40?
find it.
I can tell you it's before 72.
Everett as well, and especially the session with Everett's suicide and all of that was also. I don't, but like I feel
So
wrong saying that was the favorite, but that was a very impactful
Most memorable.
session. There's just been so many. It's 99 sessions, of which I dare say I don't think any of them I would count as a negative. And there are so many of them are extremely positive memories that it's hard to pick out one, or even 3, or even 5.
The 3 things that like came to me like first were like the promise that like her and Cal made in the Woad. As much as it fucked up shit, getting to kind of like unload onto Anna right before she died about how like she like finally like really verbalizing how much she just wants to be like somebody's fucking equal, and how that was supposed to be Anna and how that did not work out. That was a great monologue that I just really enjoyed it. And the third one is Xerxes when he came to Samani for the first time.
We've got a couple moments. The intro, obviously, iconic. Killing Anethor. I
Great.
think when you guys all found Althea and you first found Teethan, when you saw like the signature pipes in body drain of blood of Samael's followers.
That was
Yeah, that was-
so.
I
Because
do
that
have
was the
another-
first blood rain as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The I will also never forget like one of the very first things that Zamani said to Cal was, "Shut up, Cal, you're rich." As they were
Yeah.
all in their fucking cells. Like, I think it was, I can't remember his fucking name, but like the racist guy was like coming around and talking about how
Yeah,
tieflings are bad. And she's like, I think she had some like smart ass retort. And like Cal was trying to be like some sassy noble or something. And Zamani was just not having any of it.
Yep. Definitely.
Oh, when it comes to Calacindia's sass, like Donnie returning from being corpse detonated, and Calacindia walking straight up to him and telling him he's shit at combat after hearing it for
that'd be
10,
brewing.
12 sessions. It was brutal. It was fucking beautiful.
I'd been holding onto it. I've been waiting for the longest time to throw it back in Donovan's face, and then it finally arrived, and I couldn't have been happier.
It was so good. It was masterful.
Another great time was I think it was literally just Des going, I'm a fuck with Raph a bit. Calacindia.
Ah,
Cowa fucking
There were a lot of
Cindia.
good, actually, there were a lot of good moments with the kids as well.
There
Just
was
in
tons
general,
of
so many good
moments with
moments.
kids, Yeah.
kids were
Zelly
fun.
being honest about like, hey, I'm afraid what happens if I lose you.
That
that
never
was
came
rough.
back up.
No, I didn't get to have that moment because everything became a lot all very suddenly.
Yeah. I don't know
I
if
just
Zelly
really like-
ever brings that up until she's an adult.
Yeah.
I just really like Elrin. Elrin's a fantastic
Elrin's a
character.
sociopath. Elrin's just
Yeah.
like
A literal sociopath.
He's
a
like,
little
not
bit
just
And
like
then
a
there's
sort
Tarek. But Tarek, you have to love Tarek for I love Tarek.
Des, you're a little
so
too good
good.
at playing sociopaths, just gotta say.
One thread that we never got to follow because the player ended up no longer being at the table, but the fucking Queen of the Vampires, the original, I just want to know
Yeah.
so much more about that whole thing and how like it's so Durapadin-y and like that all feels like some mystical faraway land that I've never interacted with and probably never will. And it's just
Mm.
like, I don't know.
the vampires in my setting are kind of goaded. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Well, so
100%.
far everyone I've seen is super hot, so.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Even Helios, massive deal.
Mm, yep.
True.
I think
True.
one of the moments that will like always live in my head is just Jen and Des just going blow for blow, like during that conversation that we had like pretty recently with Zamani and her brother.
Oh, yeah. Helios.
That was like, oh my gosh, like I was just like, how are they just like continuously just going back and forth? It's like, oh yeah, because they're siblings, they understand each other. This is how they communicate and interact.
You guys are so
And that was just like a beautiful moment of just like really deep like character role play. And I was like, oh yeah, this is what's possible,
So,
you know, in D&D.
Imagine
Does
what
any-
happens when you're friends with the people at your table.
does anyone have questions about quests you failed? Thread
Yeah,
stuff.
the original quest. Oh, I failed.
Which one?
The satyr.
The satyr. The fate that befell Zamani, fate came to her, and then she was sent off to someone very brutal and died.
Ah,
yeah.
She didn't survive it.
as much as I love getting to play an open world game, I also hate it.
Yeah, you
Mm.
can't,
Like,
can't
it's-
do it all.
It's a very double-edged sword because like I'm the kind of person where I want to get to explore all of the things, and the idea of just like, nope, you just get time gated out of it. I hate it so much. I've absolutely loved this game and getting to experience it, but like I just want to get to do all the things.
You want to have only W's, no L's.
Or like we can have L's, but an L because we didn't have time to do the thing versus like, hey, you just messed it up. It feels bad, man.
I think
Speaking
that's
of
why
massive
I kind
L's, sorry, you go, AJ.
I think I was just going to say that's why I kind of loved Merc's end, because it wasn't a dub.
Oh,
Like,
Merc
sure,
lost. Merc lost.
we
this
completed,
campaign.
yeah, we completed the mission, sure, but Merc really screwed the pooch.
Merc doesn't even get to see
And
her
I didn't.
parents in her afterlife. Merc got the worst
No.
possible ending for her.
Yeah, which I think is oddly beautiful because it shows it's
Mhm.
it's a story. Not everyone wins.
Yeah, Zeph was like this close to getting like the bad end for him as well.
Because Seth got like
Merc
teenage
succeeded.
existential for a bit there.
Anyway,
So what
Nate,
happened?
you were
What
saying?
happened with what happened? Where's Grommy?
So Gromathir is
Uh,
a very, very powerful lich to the Emperor of
Follow-up
Ghouls.
question as well. So he's just vibing in the world below.
He's taking the reality he can have.
What about Joranvir?
Dead.
Perfect.
The second Gromathir was cut off from magic, all magic keeping Joranvir alive subsided.
That's
I
good.
remember that.
It's a good answer.
What other quests did we fail? I'm racking my brain at the moment and can't quite remember.
Let me have a look.
Because there was the Light Dragon stuff, which we have come to a conclusion.
So,
It's a big red F stamp.
Do you have a failures tab?
I have a quest and story arc line tab. So,
It's the book.
the everything cross post because you didn't go. All that shit gone.
Yeah.
Valna is out there terrorizing the world, just doing her stuff. Arthas still is out there, even though Elrin killed a fragment of him, still just doing awful thing. You never investigated the missing alchemist in Sathasa Dravla.
That's right.
We wanted to.
You wanted to, didn't happen. Multiple occasions, like you saw the thing on Embryos, failed it there at the end again, and 10% chance that works. The Aster gone completely. Never got that one. What else? There's
I wasn't here for any of this, so I didn't
Yeah.
fail any of these.
It's
Aster,
weird
yeah,
that we
that's the
started
big one.
succeeding when you joined.
They started winning.
Oh,
when you
succeeding.
signed up.
Succeeding.
Yeah.
You mean the one boss fight that I was originally guessed to be on that
Yeah,
we
you failed
failed?
that. You guys
Yeah.
never like. You didn't realize because you didn't kill Gromthir, that basically locked you out of the actual potential of the keeper of that grotto. Which would open up
Yeah.
a bit more stuff.
Shit, what was her name?
I can dig it up.
The
on
Fox
Sword.
Lady.
Yeah.
No, let
So
me figure it out.
introduced to a
Almost-
whole new race in the world.
Yeah, that was basically gonna be your intro to them. That could have sent you into
Because I
All
I
of
was away that
Rindleton.
session.
just like Rindleton Yundav was just like swathed out.
Yeah,
The majority of
the-
Celelia's
I'm still so mad.
The ethereal
Um,
form of Letheril Merleth, who was
Yeah.
the former Fane of the region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That
was gonna bring you to a
entire
bunch of stuff
line.
with Fanes.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Yeah, I missed out.
Yeah, a fair bit. That's the key bits.
It makes me sad thinking about what we failed. Can we talk about things we did good?
Actually, speaking of the Fanes, that was another cool moment of the campaign was Merc getting essentially raptured into becoming like holy avenger motherfucker, like keeping undead at bay to save your ass. Des did a whole write-up on that shit and it was sexy as
So I do this now, and I've been waiting to do this until we're done. On my big ass notebook that has everything in it, I can take all the pages out, and I can show you exactly how much Kingslayers is in volume with just my writing stuff.
Let's go.
'Cause this book will be for campaign 3 now, won't it? New pages. And I'll bind all these and keep them safe.
Drum roll.
I gotta get them all out. I'm
Oh, it's
still
not working.
going.
Never mind.
This is how much of my notebook was used for Kingslayers. Roughly just over
Actually,
half. To maybe
I
2/3.
have in my note, my Word document that I've been keeping my notes in, I have a total of 30,665 words written for Kingslayers.
See, a couple of
I do
mine are
not.
literally just pages with a session number, and that's it.
This
Like,
is why I like
this
playing
was
with
last
Raph. You
week's.
don't have to take notes.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was last week's, or last session's.
Yeah, we didn't play last week, so that's why.
That was the session before, which is all of the like assistance that we got for Blazefkin's thing.
I'm still getting
I love it how
While you're
it's
doing
session
that-
92
In
and
comparison, my note page currently is at 787.
Des, while you're doing that, can you answer a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Assuming life had not gotten in the way and we'd lost against Lizeffican, what happens?
If you'd lost against Lizefrican, well, Guardian Light still returns, but Lizefrican's more empowered than any other major god, and albeit he is stronger, the forces of the divinity would not be ready for the oncoming Dragon King down the line. So,
Eat
one
them.
second. I think this
So
is
now we're gonna be ready for the Dragon King down the
more
line?
so, but as
more ready.
Calisander mentioned, we enter into an era of prosperity, and it's very easy for people to forget what's coming when everything's going
Mhm.
well. So, this is now my book after taking everything out,
Mm-hmm.
and let's get all these pages together. Not counting Google Docs, this is my written stuff.
Damn.
All this. And then
Space tightly, double-sided.
double-sided, space tightly. Just
It's a lot.
Gorgeous.
It's the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
it's done.
You gotta keep it forever. Give it
Yeah,
its own little
like-
rings.
No, I
When
don't. I
did
have
you
a
guys-
backup journal that has its own rings.
Do you guys remember the day you guys started Kingslayers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
day was
vaguely,
that?
yes.
Like the
Oh,
actual
what,
like date?
Like date?
Mhm.
I check the vaults. Oh, wait, no.
God.
Like time doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, basically.
That's wait, actually, you want to know this day we started? I might have that. So, session 2 was the 28th of the 2nd, 2022. So that would have been on the 21st of the 2nd, 2022 was session 1.
Yeah, it's
The
literally.
21st of
I've got
the
it
second-
here.
21st of February, 2022.
Yep, the first episode was called Where the Crown Falls.
On the floor, covered in blood, after we stabbed him repeatedly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
literally.
Yeah,
Hey,
I love
and
how
Eldritch Blast him.
Des literally, like, in the intro, specifically mentioned that in the blur of combat, none of us knew who laid the final blow into Anathor.
Des, who laid the final blow into Anathor?
Mercastio.
just want to like clarify.
You really
Yeah,
just
that's
wanted to
fair.
hand out one more L, huh?
That's fair.
Always.
That's fair.
So now I get to refill my book with more pages,
Mm.
more stuff.
I have a new system of taking notes for next campaign. I'm very excited.
This is my next bunch of session page notes, all ready to go and add to the book.
I need to
Hell yeah,
improve my
yeah.
note-taking system because it's
My problem-
it's not good.
When I'm good at taking notes, I am bad for stream
That's fair.
because all you see is
Yeah, I need to improve Raf's note taking.
Can I also draw our attention to
Yes, boss.
so the episode title of session 9, which is when we first, or like the second time we met Kelsier, was called "What the Zoo Doing."
What the zoo
What
doing?
the
What a
zoo doing?
beautiful name! Because that's when we broke
did I
into
do?
his we broke into his house to try and find shit, or Reindeer broke into his
Yeah.
house to try and work out if he was being good or not. What the zoo doing?
God, that was awful.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's it, guys.
We met him session 8.
That's it.
We're done.
Fucking nutty.
We did it.
And you have any closing questions?
Thank you, Des. Thank you for leading us on one of the
Agreed.
most memorable
Mhm. Yeah.
campaigns that I think I'll ever be on.
I will remember this forever.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much,
Mhm.
Des.
I wasn't here
It's
for
been an
long,
absolute
but
joy.
I wasn't
okay,
here for
next
long,
one,
but
next
it was
one.
one of the best,
Exactly.
Yeah.
if not the best.
Best
Big
of
hugs
luck.
Definitely the
to
most I've ever
everybody.
been. I
It
can't
was
wait
great
to
to come
get
in
to say
as
the
a
next
viewer
one.
Mhm.
and then join because I was in chat. I'd be in chat right
Oh
now.
yeah, me too.
anyway.
I got
You
yoinked.
too
watching
can
this.
live out your parasocial dreams.
Yeah, you too can live out your parasocial dreams. by
no.
getting scammed by these
Oh, that's not because-
motherfuckers.
that's
It's
not because-
plain Dungeons and Dragons.
I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, I
I just
absolutely
worked.
scammed
Games
Biddy.
in. We're just ending our campaign. We're done.
Hey.
Epilogue.
Yeah.
Finish up
Games
saying
in.
closing remarks.
Mhm.
All done, and I can't believe it. Y'all are
Terrible and
pretty
magical.
good. You're pretty good. But I think
I guess I'll
wholeheartedly
take it.
across the board, my last statement for this is just y'all are terrible at combat.
Combat's awful. Fuck that shit.
Hey.
I'm never gonna be good at it.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
play
here
that.
to
I'll play that.
roleplay to my heart's fucking content.
But we should have a campaign.
Next campaign, we're making you really good at combat, Jen.
Okay, but you understand? I had a handcrafted build, and I just forgot to do my second attack most combats.
It's fine. I'll drill you. It'll be all right. Like I'll run you through how to. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
I'm
Just
very.
We're
pretend
starting at
combat
like
is OP.
we're starting at
Next
like level
campaign's gonna
2.
be even better
Less
than this
moving
one.
parts.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
So this was fun, guys. Do you want to do it again?
I'd love to.
You
know
It's
what?
just
Hell
the
yeah.
only-
Roll
the only
persuasion.
problem-
All right. Hang on.
All
We
right.
gotta get the baby dice.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Wait. What's Nate's modifier?
+2.
AJ's is
Okay,
AJ's
cool,
is
cool, cool.
-1.
What's my modifier?
+2.
That's an 8. That's an 18
18. Before modifiers after.
Wait, really?
after modifiers.
I also got 18 after modifiers.
All
I
right.
got
Yes,
an
can I
11
get-
before modifiers.
Can I get
What's my mod?
advantage?
No.
Oh.
What
my
did you
mod?
get?
What's
Yes.
Betty's modifier?
Like +2. +2. I'll give you +2. All right. Let me roll as orders. Raph, you
do
have
I get
advantage.
advantage on
Tony. You have advantage.
I was gonna say.
What's my
I rolled a 16 on the dice. +2 is 18.
Hey Des, what's my
Uh,
mod?
AJ, you've got a -2. Raph, you also have proficiency in this check against me.
All right, here we go.
Let's go.
I rolled.
Oh wait, what do I
Okay,
roll?
so
I'm sorry.
what's my modifier? Is
You get like a +5 total.
+5.
Hey guys, I
rolled
think
like
the universe
trash.
might have broken. I think the universe just might have broken
Did you roll in that 20?
because with my -2 modifier, that's a 20 down to an 18. What the fuck is happening?
All right, Raph,
Raph, if you don't roll an 18, you're out.
with advantage.
No, in it's very fitting that with all my awful rolls, the last roll of anything Kingslayer related is also an awful roll. I got a 15 total. 15 total.
Oh.
All right, I'll roll a
You
d20
ruined
to
it.
set the DC.
All right, we're broken.
What's my stat that I'm using for this to set the DC? My
Wisdom.
Deception.
See if you
Wisdom.
actually
It's
really want to play with us
deception.
again.
Okay,
Deception.
What's
It's
my
gaslight.
Oh,
deception?
wait.
Your skill is
Intimidation.
gaslight.
It's my intimidation.
Yeah.
I've rolled my dice. What's my modifier?
+5.
Yep.
Shut up. I
I'll
rolled
play
a
that.
13 on the dice.
God.
Hey,
For an
Raph,
18.
sounds
So
like
we
you're
all
getting.
So we all succeeded,
Raph, you're
right?
getting kicked out.
No, so this is
Beats
where
and
I
beats,
say,
guys.
guys, Raph is running the next game. I'm done being a DM. Fuck you all. I'm done.
The only hard part will be the scheduling.
We're going to talk about that off stream now. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be live with some world building stuff throughout. I don't know when the next campaign's going to start. Consider it on permanent hiatus for now. Sad,
Unfortunately,
but
but
we'll see you next
Very
time. Thanks for the
We'll see you
support.
soon.
Pass the skill check.
Thanks for watching us.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Okay.
That one?
Okay.
Did I do it?
Okay.
yeah, you did it. Good job.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.